goodness. Are you ready to see me? Hello. Hi. How is everybody today? I'm here. I feel like I'm doing pretty well, you know? I mean, like, things could hypothetically be going better, but I feel like they're going pretty okay. Mama, thank you so much for the tier 1 sub before we even got started today. Appreciate it. That is, I'm just going to claim that as our first dono in the name of the bugs. We have bug cam now. So, yeah, it was a deliberate choice to set things up in the space in such a way that we can have bug cam occasionally. Occasional bug cam. And like, I don't know, maybe even after I'm done streaming, I'll just switch to that and like let you enjoy bugs for like an hour or two and then turn off the stream. I don't know. I've thought about it before. Hypothetically, it gives you more time to hang out and chat and you know, that can be fun. Anyway, thank you so much again. The GOP debate was hilarious in a characteristically horrifying kind of way. Beautiful. Your bug cam inspired me to look up aquarium live feeds that I could use for my stream, and I literally found out that my background image I use for my stream is from the Monterey Bay Aquarium, because I found one of their feeds and it's the same setup. Nice. Nice. Well done. But yeah, I mean, that would be super useful. And like, rather than having to actually maintain an aquarium, because holy shit, I looked it up recently, because I was like, oh, I kind of would like to have a little aquarium. That would be nice. And to maintain an aquarium, like, yeah, exactly. Hello, it's a beautiful day. What's up, kitty? My plants and clay stuff have been great. Nice. Hell yeah. What's up, Venusian? We got Jihariel. Bugs, 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 bugs. I started lifting today, and I just got done a few minutes ago. Ooh, nice. Like, before you were doing more calisthenics type stuff, and now it's actual lifting. Nice. I've been feeling like a weird, like, unspecified reluctance to go to the gym for a lot of this week. And I'm realizing that even though I did plan to stop going to the gym in a couple weeks anyway, because I'm going to be doing Renfest on the weekends and I need more active rest days than that, I guess, like, I'm just, like, gonna trust that intuition about feeling like going to the gym is a bad idea, because, frankly, we are in the middle of a gigantic, absolutely ginormous COVID spike. Like, a crazy, crazy COVID spike. What's up, Tima? Yes. Yeah, you get here and the first thing you hear is bugs. The reason that the first thing you heard was bugs was this. I started a bug cam. I moved my terrarium close enough to my desk to have a camera in there. And I understand, it's like a fucking webcam. It's not a high quality camera. It's so close to the camera that it's not focused in super well. So listen, I understand it's not perfect. But we're trying our best, you know? Just started classes again, and I get access to the school gym. Nice. Yeah, so on COVID news, just before we get too far, because I did want to bring this up really fast. I'm not doing like a whole segment about this, but I think it's like important to mention. And that's that a new study has come out showing that you can get AIDS from COVID. You know, like acquired immune deficiency syndrome, which is, you know how like HIV, yeah, everybody learns this when you're in like middle school or whatever, you're doing your sex ed classes. All these different STIs, you got HIV, and what does it do? It invades your T cells, like it specifically disables your immune system, right? Yeah, it's my isopods. I have Porcellianitis pruinosis orange cream and Armadillidium vulgare punta cana. So those are the two species that are in there right now. So yeah, the like HIV causes AIDS. AIDS is like a syndrome, so it's just a bunch of symptoms that you get from having a fucked up immune system. And SARS-CoV-2 can give you acquired immune deficiency syndrome. So welcome to hell. I'm like, oh no. Does that mean that COVID is gay and Republicans are actually going to try to get rid of it now? Yeah, I mean, we can hope, I guess. Love the chill wave music on Bugcam too. Yeah, it was quite nice. What's up, Mersh? I'm doing pretty good. How are you tonight? I saw a video that was later banned during the pandemic as a conspiracy theory that said that COVID was much like AIDS. Looks like that lady scientist was onto something. Yeah, I mean, it's earnestly something that can really damage your body, you know? Like, you live with COVID after you stop being sick from it, right? Death Guitarist, what's up? I saw your comment before, but not your name. That's a good name. What's up, Precious? Yeah, so when we were calling it COVIDs as slang back in 2020, we were actually right. Yeah, I mean, it's literally like airborne, a great way to get actually AIDS. There's like an old Family Guy song. You have AIDS, yes, you have AIDS. Not HIV, but full-blown AIDS. Terrible show. So many Family Guy references just living rent-free in my head. What's up, Dark Canuck? Welcome in. There's Speedy Shimeji. So we're not going to goof around for too long at the beginning of stream here because the Tucker Carlson and Trump interview is like 45 minutes long. And then the Republican primary debate is also like 2 hours long. So if we just watched those and did nothing else for the rest of stream, we did not speak at all, that would still be the entire, usually 3 hours that I stream. Like if we started right now and just watched them and said nothing. So I don't actually know if we'll get to do both tonight. If we had to choose, which one should we do? Should we do the debate first or should we do Trump? God sent a little AIDS to punish the people who said that AIDS was sent to punish the gays. True, it's cyclical. I watched Family Guy growing up until the Quagmire's Mom episode. I had just come out as trans and that hit me like a brick. Yeah, it was not like pleasant to watch that episode. So, yeah. Considering Trump is gonna be the nominee, I vote the Trump interview. No, really? He was not, like, literally with him not even being invited. Ugh. But yeah, I was planning on doing that first anyway, so we can start with the Trump interview and see how things go from there. Oh my god, cringe. Cringe. Oh, he turned down the invite. And he chose to be on Tucker's show instead? Did he really think he was gonna get more attention? Or does he just not like the, like, actual rules that are involved with being part of the debate? You know, that the fact that you have to actually, like, sit there and have, like, 45 seconds and then shut up, you know? Excuse me. I guess I'm just gonna have gunk in my throat every time I do stream for the rest of forever now. I probably just need to refill my water before I get too far in here. Saw Lily's breakdown of that trans episode. Nice. I like Lily. I don't ever watch her content because, frankly, I don't do long-form political content that much. Like, I don't really watch it that much in my free time. I haven't seen much coverage on Trump. Everyone's been on the debate. You know, interestingly, and I wonder if this is still up. Oh, no, it's not. Hold on. Let me see if I can pull it up from earlier. I had a tab open. Nope, not Good Mythical Morning. Cease and desist.
Okay. I'm just going to be
No,
searched.
shush. Was it this tab? I don't think so. Okay, I cannot recover it by doing reopened closed tab a lot. Come on, YouTube, help me out here. Show me what you showed me earlier. Okay, so it's not... I wish I had taken a screenshot. It's not here now, but earlier I was on this page. I had searched Republican debate, and you know how there's like a widget at the bottom of some YouTube videos sometimes where it says, like, COVID-19 misinformation or flat Earth or global warming, like any of those things when it's like, I can tell that this video is about this subject. Here's a link to Wikipedia. There was one of those at the top of the page here, above top news, that said basically like, do you want to find out how to watch the Trump and Tucker conversation? And then when I clicked it, it linked me here to here's how to watch Trump's Tucker Carlson interview. Like, it was this search result with a widget up top that said, here's how to watch the Trump thing. And then this is where it took me. So I don't know why it's not on there now. Probably, I mean, it showed it to me once. Maybe it felt like it didn't need to show it to me again. But yeah, that's interesting. Like, you can see even though, well, maybe you can't see because my picture is going to be over the top of it, but This is like this is the page that like opened from YouTube. He's got nothing to win from the debate. I mean, I guess that's fair enough. They also said that debate participants need to agree to support the eventual nominee. Tucker's show is called Tucker on X. I watched with Dylan Burns. Nice. I watched the debate through the Majority Report channel with commentary. I guess it's too bad I didn't stream last night. I could have watched it live. So edgy with all these X names. Tucker on X. I mean, let's, you know, acknowledge it once again. Tucker on X sounds like it is porn. I don't like Tucker. Listen, we've already talked about how Tucker would be a great drag name. Like if you could incorporate Tucker into it. He doesn't want to entertain the idea that he doesn't rule the Republican Party unchallenged. I mean, so one of the things about it is that Tucker on X sounds like he's on a Molly trip. Everybody on X. What's up, Corpse Candy? Hello. Violet finally off work for the weekend. Fuck yeah. I am getting accustomed to my new schedule in my new office and with my new, more comprehensive soundproofing. And I got a new cord for my microphone as well, so I frankly think that the sound quality is much better than it has been previously. Hell yeah, time for video games. So, we're gonna start on this Tucker Trump thing before too terribly long. Y'all should hit like if you're enjoying hanging out, or if you're looking forward to doing that thing together. The debate would have been funny if they weren't trying for president. I mean, it's like a bad look, right? For the Republican Party when there are this many, whichever party it is, if there are this many people vying for the position, that really shows that the Republican Party is in a pretty weak place. And historically, that doesn't bode well for the nominee. Like, it doesn't bode well for the Republicans winning if it's this split. But I also get the impression that the very first primary, sometimes they let in a bunch of people who absolutely are not serious contenders. Ooh, I'm road tripping tomorrow to collab with another sex worker. I'm excited. That sounds like fun. I'm gonna take a video game break before I lose my life in Starfield next week. Is Starfield a new thing coming out? Hello, Ursa. You haven't missed very much. Not yet, anyway. So, yeah, I am looking forward to watching the debate, though. We'll get into it. Let's get at least to 50 likes today, you know? I feel like that's a reasonable goal. 50 likes. I gotta stay inside this weekend because smoke is gonna be extra bad in Vancouver this weekend thanks to all the fires. Yay. I'm doing my part. Yeah, true. I just got a job at my local zoo in the membership department. No more laboring in the heat. Oh my god. I know. Listen, I appreciate so much that I can work inside. You know, I've been in the process of moving, and thankfully I can move, like I'm able to move relatively slowly. And I go in the morning and I take like 1 carload worth of stuff. And then I stop being outside for the day. Like genuinely, I have such a huge like health sensitivity to the heat that I am like so grateful. Even though I basically make minimum wage, like I am super grateful that I get to work inside. It makes a huge difference. I have 20k songs I just downloaded from various YouTube channels to listen to, so should be a chill weekend. Hell yes. I think I'm gonna need to... Yeah, this is... I just did not refill my water bottle before I started. I realized like 15 seconds before the song ended, I was like, shit, I'm gonna need to refill my water. So let me do that. You look cool and fresh in the comfy looking hoodie. Glad you didn't resort to the wetted shoulder cool down trick. So the great thing is that, and one of the reasons why I have switched my office is that it's much cooler here. The air conditioner actually fucking works in this place, so it's much better. Health sensitivity, aka being a normal human on a burning planet. It's worse for me than most people, though. I mean, if we're being real. I have, like, my POTS makes my health sensitivity, like, my heat sensitivity much worse. It is, you know, harder than average. So, but yes, all of you are going to suffer just as much as me because the planet is on fire. Yeah, planet's on fire. Okay, so I'm just gonna refill this really quick and I'll be back in like fucking 30 seconds. You can leave if you want to, I guess, but we're about to start watching Trump and Tucker in about 45 seconds. Okay. I told you I wasn't going to be back in a very long amount of time. Come on. I forgot you were a POTS head. Yes, I have the POTS. Okay. That feels so much better. So let's get ready to watch The Thing. It's on Twitter. Twitter. Okay. Is there something else I wanted to look at? Oh yeah, Brazil High Court rules that homophobia is punishable by prison. Do I have to watch this on Apple News? Why? Excuse me. I heard Trump was very tough on the low water pressure showers. Oh dear. So I will say, before we get into the Trump thing really quick, in Brazil, using homophobic slurs is now punishable by prison. And I want you to know that racist hate speech was already punishable with a prison offense, with a prison sentence. And now they've just ruled 9-1 in the Supreme Court that the existing federal hate crime law also protects individual LGBTQ plus people. A 2019 ruling found that homophobic hate speech, like racism in Brazil, was a crime, and that decision at the time applied to the LGBTQ community as a whole, not to slurring individual people. So this ruling means that people who violate the law could be subject to a prison sentence of anywhere from 2 to 5 years. So, fuck yeah, based Brazil. I'm pretty happy about that. Pretty enthused. Not enough to make a full segment for the channel about it, at least not today, but that's pretty good news. We love to hear it. Okay, now it's time to watch this train wreck. Are you ready? Hit like. I would like to get to 50 likes today. That would be wonderful. And we're not that far off. The only negative side effect is that the most people I know who use... Sorry, that most people I know who use homophobic slurs are us. Yeah, I mean, I think that it's like... You know, in the way that the N-word can be used by people within that community, you know? Like, I kind of wonder if that's along those lines. Ugh. Okay, yeah, conservatives seethe and cope. I can't wait to see Matt Walsh's response to this. Go to jail. Go to jail. I would love it if one of the right-wingers, like, went to Brazil and, like, said some homophobic shit and then got put in prison there and, like, convicted. Wow, that would be hilarious. Fucking true. 2 trans girls throwing the T-slur at each other, getting sent to a men's jail. Anyway, okay, it's time for this train wreck where Trump declined to go to the Republican primary debate and instead decided to go record... I mean, I guess I'm assuming this was pre-recorded, so he recorded this with Tucker Carlson so that Tucker Carlson could air it on his Twitter profile page, his X profile page, instead of, like, Tucker is still in the middle of a lawsuit. Did we not talk about this before on stream? That Tucker Carlson is being sued by Fox News because they had, like, a non-compete in his contract, and he's basically producing an equivalent show on Twitter. So, like, he's gonna argue because it's his, quote, free speech on Twitter, that's a different thing, even though this is clearly, like, a highly produced show with employees. Like, you've got someone holding that camera. Whether it's your wife or your kids, doesn't matter. You technically have employees, my dude. Like, what are you doing? Anyway, so we're gonna adjust the speed up a little bit and see how this travesty is gonna go.
It's debate night, but we're not in Milwaukee.
Oh my god, hold on. I need to adjust some things. We gotta switch things around. I need to put this over here and adjust the volumes.
Mr. President, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Why aren't you at the Fox News debate tonight in Milwaukee?
Well, you know, a lot of people have been asking me that, and many people...
Okay, it's a little bit too fast. I apologize. We're gonna take it down just ever so slightly. All right, so he just asked, why are you not at the debate tonight, Mr. Prez?
People said you shouldn't do them, but you see the polls have come out, and I'm leading by 50 and 60 points. And, you know, some of them are at 1 and 0 and 2. And I'm saying, do I sit there for an hour or 2 hours, whatever it's going to be, and get harassed by people that shouldn't even be running for president? Should I be doing that? And a network that isn't particularly friendly to me, frankly. You know, they were backing Ron DeSanctimonious like crazy, and now they've
Ron DeSanctimonious, he actually says that. I thought that was just something that he did on, like, what is it called? What is the thing that he's on? What's the social media? Truth Social? I wouldn't call it highly produced because Tucker is as orange as Trump is. True. That's fair enough. Oh, God.
Lost cause. It reminded me very much of 2016. You know, in 2016, I went through the same stuff and had to fight them all the way. And then they became very friendly after I won, or just about when I was winning. But I just felt it would be more appropriate not to do the debate. I don't think it's right to do it. If you're leading by 50, 60, I have one problem leading by 70 points. And I'm saying, why am I doing it? And I'm going to have 8 people, 10 people, whoever made the debate, I don't know how many it is, but I'm going to have all these people screaming at me, shouting questions at me, all of which I love answering, I love doing, but it doesn't make sense to do them. So I've taken a pass, as you probably noticed.
Oh, I did. I'm grateful that you did.
Oh my God, Tucker. Oh my God, I hate his face so much. That laugh, that... like, oh my God, bro. When did his hair stop being yellow? Yeah, I don't know. I guess he's, like, allowed his hair to go white. He's embraced it. He has the puffiest eye bags. I mean, it's probably true. His hair somehow looks even older. He aged. Listen, the presidency ages you. We've said this before. Obama's hair was very much, like, much whiter when he got out of the presidency than when he started, you know? Right-wing weirdos and the weirdest fucking laughs. Name a more iconic duo. I can't. I cannot. Oh, God.
It's interesting, though, because you spent a lot of your career...
But also, like, yeah, he's like, oh, I think you've noticed that I'm not there, as though it's currently airing right now. And, like, no, you guys clearly recorded this in the middle of the day.
In television.
Yeah.
You had a top show in television on NBC. But you don't feel the need now running for president to do television, obviously. Do you think television is declining?
Well, according to a poll that I guess we just saw, it just came out where it's down like 30, 35%, but I think they were referring to cable. I think cable's down because it's lost credibility. MSNBC, or as they say, MSDNC, is so bad. It's so wrong what they write and what they do and what they say. It's, you know, it's fake news, as I said. I think I came up with that term. I hope I did, because it's a good one. It's not tough enough anymore. It's corrupt news. You know, really what you do is call it corrupt news, but somehow that doesn't play as nicely. But it is corrupt news. So you have MSNBC.
It's really interesting watching the hold on. It's really interesting watching the rhetoric change in real time, you know? Like, hold on. Where am I? I just fucked up. I closed something I didn't mean to close. Try to get it back. Reopen. Thank you very much. Okay, we're back. Yeah, it's really interesting watching the rhetoric change in real time, where they're now calling the news corrupt. They're speaking out against television as a concept, like the TV networks, cable news in general. You know, that's one of the things that we saw when Tucker was speaking about, you know, his leaving of Fox News is like, oh, well, you know, I've been kicked off of so many of these news organizations now that I'm just going to declare that the entire enterprise is faulty. Like, the entire concept of cable news, they're all corrupt, which, like, I mean, they are all owned by people and therefore subject to biased, moneyed interests. So I guess, like, it's weird seeing a Republican almost come around to, like, the same don't trust any corporations type view that a lot of leftists already have, but like they came around to it in like a fucked up way. Like, I don't know. It's just, it's weird. Yeah, do you think cable TV is in decline and therefore me getting kicked off of it is a canny business move? Mayhaps.
And you have CNN, who's absolutely doing no ratings at all. I mean, they're dead. But they're doing none because they don't have credibility. They really don't have credibility. Fox is way down, as you know. And the good old days are long ago. I will say this, it could come back, but they just don't have a lot of credibility. Tucker, you know that perhaps better than anybody. I think it was a terrible move getting rid of you. You were number one on television, and all of a sudden we're doing this interview, but we'll get bigger ratings using this crazy forum that you're using than probably the debate or competition.
When you say there are people,
they're like, so he's overtly stating that they are putting this out. They're putting out this content in an attempt to compete with the debate. But that, I mean, I guess it would work better if things weren't on demand all the time. Like, I can choose to watch this whenever I feel like it. Yeah, surely. Yeah, who's the common denominator? Surely, if you keep getting fired, it's all of those companies' fault. Oh, gosh. Can't pretend media isn't corrupt, so he acts like it's corrupt against him and not mostly toward the fascists and corporate interests. Yeah, it's weird. Like, I can imagine, like, the George Carlin spin on, like, news media and, like, weird ownership of all this shit. And, like, again, Tucker Carlson has come around to, and Trump both, they're like, oh, yeah, the news media is corrupt. They suck. They're all owned by someone, and they're spinning you a narrative. When you're getting the news, you're not getting the truth. And it's like, yeah, lots of people have been skeptical of this for a really long time, but now that the companies are going woke, now it's like, oh, they're so corrupt. Like, yeah, they're just going to follow wherever their money is, obviously. I personally find most of MSNBC to be insufferable. At least they're more or less on our side and put some kind of value in truth. Yeah, what is it that, I mean, people have said for decades now, like, that the truth has a liberal bias, you know? His voice has weakened, talking about Trump. Yeah, he seems really cogent in this interview. He just seems like what is it? He's just like way less coked up than usual right now.
people on stage who shouldn't be running for president, who do you mean?
Well, I don't want to really use names, but it wouldn't matter too much. A guy like, I call him Ada Hutchinson. It's Asa, but I call him Ada.
Why do you call him Ada?
I could tell you, but I don't want to get myself in a little trouble. But he's weak
I cannot speak.
and pathetic, and he was, I never understood.
Yeah, true. When I ask who owns the news, the answer we usually have is capitalists, and the answer that the right-wingers have is the Jews. True. He's going to have to pee in a jar when he gets booked in Georgia, so he probably doesn't want it in his system. Oh, well, that's true. Yeah, on account of him being indicted and being formally charged in some locations, he's going to have to maintain a little bit of sobriety.
Understood the guy, never knew him. He was the governor of Arkansas. Not a very popular guy. I don't know how but that state is such a great state. The people are so incredible in that state, and they love me and I love them. How does this guy get elected governor of Arkansas? But he's nasty always and has been. A guy like Chris Christie, the guy left with a 8%, think of it, 8% approval rating in New Jersey. Now he's running for president, and he runs solely on the basis, oh, let's get Trump. He's like a savage maniac. He's like a lunatic, and that's all he talks about. His poll numbers are very, very low. He's about 2%.
What's he?
Wait, was that MSNBC that had something to do with cutting down those trees that were protecting the picketers from the sun? Is that what? Was that MSNBC? Really?
Like, you know him well.
No, I've been friendly with him over the years, but I couldn't give him a job because I just never trusted him.
Oh, damn. Well, fuck MSNBC. Like, I don't know if any of you didn't see that. There was like a particular sidewalk where people were protesting the whole Writers Guild strike, and I think it was before the Screen Actors Guild joined the strike, but there was like an area where there were mature trees, like mostly mature trees along the sidewalk, between the sidewalk and the road, and they were like shading the entire sidewalk there. And someone came in and like pretty brutally cut the trees down. Like they cut all of the biggest branches of the tree like close to, it's like when you get a thing of broccoli and you get like the full thing of broccoli and you just cut off like all of the heads of broccoli like super close to the main stem, you know, and you just have like this really ugly, completely empty tree afterwards. Like, I don't know that the trees are gonna survive, especially because it was also the wrong time of year to prune a tree and it was far too aggressive of a pruning. But yeah, so MSNBC, like, doing their best to actually physically harm striking employees to try to put pressure on them to break strike. Anyway, MSNBC has also been badly covering unions for a long time. Canadian corporate media did the same thing when Toulouse, a big ISP up here, was being protested by their union. Yeah. And I guess, like, the city of LA sued MSNBC over the removal of the trees. Yeah, it was pretty shit. Anyway, let's continue.
Very much. I was just never one of his people that really trusted him. I never gave him the job. And that's one of the reasons he feels so hurt and so betrayed. And I understand that. I really do. I understand it. But I never gave him. You know, he wanted to be different things. He was looking at different elements of the administration. And we decided, I decided just, I didn't want to do it. And now I'm glad I did, because you see, but you know, we had some great people. I had great people. We'll have even better people if we do this, because now I know Washington. Before I didn't know Washington. But guys like Bill Barr were terrible. I mean, they were, I would say, Bushies. I say that with respect to the Bush family, but they were Bushies, and just it doesn't work out for us.
It was clear, this is kind of far afield, but it was just interesting. I read Barr's account of his time. He wrote a book about it,
right?
His autobiography, and in it he lies about Jeffrey Epstein's death. Clearly lies.
Oh my God, we're doing Epstein? Oh, we're doing Epstein. Oh, okay.
Do you think Epstein killed himself sincerely?
I don't know. I will say that, you know, he was a fixture in Palm Beach.
Yeah.
I don't know what Barr said about it either. I have no idea what he said. What did he say? He killed himself, probably?
He said he killed himself and that they were going to do this investigation. They never did the investigation. It's never been public.
Well,
and they hid it. And, like, why are they doing that? And clearly Barr knew. But why would Bill Barr be covering up the death of Jeffrey Epstein?
Bill Barr didn't do an investigation on the election.
I mean, listen, I don't disagree. And on the principal concept of, like, did Epstein actually kill himself, or was he murdered, or was he specifically taken off of suicide watch so that he would be enabled to kill himself? Like, listen, I memed with the best of them, you know, but I didn't know that Tucker was actually on that. Like, I didn't realize that Tucker Carlson was going to fully bust that out in the middle of interviewing Trump. Like, how is that relevant to right now? Maybe I didn't follow, like, where how did the conversation even get here? He just brought that up out of nowhere. There's a great clip in here about Epstein offing himself because he had it good and then was in jail. We can just see Trump's future flashing before his eyes. Yeah, like, I don't know why.
Election fraud either, okay? He said he did, and he pretended he did, but he didn't. McSwain, the U.S. attorney in Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, said Barr just wouldn't let him do it. It was crazy. Barr became so petrified, so frightened of being impeached. We're going to impeach him. I don't know if you remember it.
Yeah.
It's not a big moment in history. But they said, we're going to impeach. You know, they play a much rougher game than the left.
Dude, the shade right then. Like, they were going to impeach him. It wasn't a big moment in history. Like, the unspoken, he's like, unlike my impeachment, which was a global phenomenon, like, comparing impeachments. This is gold. I don't react to Trump stuff very often because, frankly, this content doesn't do as well compared to, like, my trans-specific content. But, boy, this is funny. Boy, howdy. This is a great way to spend an evening. I think someone probably murdered Epstein. However, the right-wingers have gone wild with that concept, and they are blaming rich Democrats and liberal billionaires and the Clintons for the murder. This is a dog whistle to his QAnon followers. I mean, unpopular opinion, I guess, but wasn't Clinton on the list of, like, people who'd gone to the pedophile island, you know? Like, Bill Clinton also implicated in this, frankly, so... This is I can carry on conversations with right wingers because I can like be on board with some of their conspiracies. Like, I'm just coming at them from the complete opposite direction, though.
Left the lunatics, and they were going to impeach Bill Barr, and he was petrified. Now, how do you not get impeached? Don't do any of this stuff. But he didn't do the job there. I don't know what he did with Epstein, but possibly he did.
Do you think it's possible that Epstein was killed?
Oh, sure, possible. I mean, I don't really believe. I think he probably committed suicide. He had a life with, beautiful homes and beautiful everything, and he all of a sudden he's incarcerated and not doing very well. I would say that he did, but there are those people. There are many people. I think you're one of them, right? But a lot of people think that he was killed. He knew a lot on a lot of people.
He was killed.
You think so?
I think the closer you look, I'm not a conspiracy person at all. I believe everything.
It's super weird for Tucker to keep doubling down on this. Like, I feel like you're supposed to be interviewing Trump right now. This is so strange. He was really, really close to Epstein. Personally, the Clintons are unironically sus, but only because of the limited evidence so far. But Trump is even more sus because of his proximity. Yeah, I mean, that's fair. He was along with Musk, Gates, and Trump flown onto Epstein's private plane 6 times, but he claimed he never went to the island. Yeah, of course, he would never lie. He would never lie about that.
I hear. But yeah, the closer you look into it, I mean, the Attorney General of the United States, your Attorney General, clearly lied about the Epstein death.
Yeah,
and
he was.
Why?
He was certainly. It wasn't well done. They had no cameras. They had no anything. Everybody was sleeping, and a case could be made. Look, I'm not going to get involved in it, but I can tell you a case could be made either way. But it certainly wasn't the most well-run place.
So the reason I'm asking you,
Trump's like, I refuse to take I mean, he didn't really like refuse to take a position. He was like, I think he killed himself. I don't think he was murdered. And then then he's like, look, I'm not taking a hard stance either way, but I'm saying you could make the argument either way. Oh my God. Yeah. And this is also super irrelevant to the election. If this is supposed to be like, if Trump is not going to the debate, he's like, I don't want to go. There's no reason for me to go. I'm 50, 60% ahead, whatever. Why are you not utilizing this opportunity to actually discuss what your platform is? Will we get there? Maybe eventually? Or is this just, I don't know, more for Tucker? I mean, it makes sense, I guess, that Tucker is not here to suck Trump's dick. He's like, actually, I'm here to use Trump to bolster my Twitter audience because that's where my new show is. Wow. I can't get over how far he's fallen. He has joined the ranks, except that he's even worse than me. I feel like being a YouTuber is much more prestigious than posting your content directly on Twitter.
I'm looking at the trajectory since 2015 when you got into politics, for real, and then won. It started with protests against you, massive protests, organized protests by the left, and then it moved to impeachment twice, and now indictment. I mean, the next stage is violence. Are you worried that they're going to try and kill you? Why wouldn't they try and kill you, honestly?
Tucker Carlson, predicting Trump's actual assassination. Like, what? Oh, no. Is there any instance in which that follows? Like, oh, these legal processes are going through, like, an impeachment and then these indictments for the crimes that you committed. Next, are you afraid that they're going to kill you? Just like they did Epstein? Okay, so that's why he brought up Epstein. He was like, yeah, I'm gonna talk about a time when someone was potentially murdered by the government, according to Tucker, and then, like, insinuate that Trump is also gonna get murked. I mean, I feel like that would be a hell of a way to go. Former reality TV star is, like, then politically assassinated, Like, man. Yeah, Tucker is an ex-videographer.
They're savage animals. They are people that are sick, really sick. You have great people in the Democrat Party. You have great people that are Democrats. Most of the people in our country are fantastic, and I'm representing everybody. I'm not just Republicans or conservatives. I represent everybody. I'm the president of everybody. But I've seen what they do. I've seen the lengths that they go to. When they make up the Russia, when that's exposed and they go down, and Barr should have gone after them, and other people should have gone after, and they did very late, because the Durham report came out. It was fairly good. It could have been a lot tougher, I guess, but it was fairly good. But it explained how corrupt it was. I'll tell you who did a great job was the Inspector General Horowitz. He did a phenomenal report. You didn't have to go to Durham. He did it on Comey and on, I guess, McCabe and some others, and it was a vicious, it was basically a true report, how bad they are. But these people are sick people. These are people that I think they hate our country. You want to know the truth? When you see open borders, when you see these policies that they have, and so many other things. It's so sad to see. We have a country that's very fragile right now. I've never seen, I will say, look, I ran in 16, which was 15, but I ran in 16, election in 16, and there was tremendous spirit. In 20, there was even more spirit. We got millions and millions more votes. It wasn't even a contest. People said, well, what do you think of 20? I said, we did much better. We did. You got to base it on the number of votes. We got many more votes in 20 than we did in 16.
I think that there was just a much bigger turnout overall in 2020, wasn't there? There were like millions more voters on both sides. Stop using present tense, Trump. You represent nobody because you lost the election. Yeah, is that subtle framing of like, I'm the president of everybody? Is he saying because I didn't lose the last election, or is he saying because I intend to win this next one and therefore I'm just speaking about the future tense in the present? Or like, what is the deal there? Because I did notice a lot of the time, like, as far as I understand, the standard is when a person steps down from the presidency, like when they get like elected out, that person is still referred to as President so-and-so for the rest of their lives, right? So like President Obama is President Obama. And I have been noticing that in publications about Trump, they will specify former President Trump. And I don't think that is normal. Like, I don't think that that's typical for how we generally talk about this. Turnout was huge in 2020. Trump always says, I won the most votes of any sitting president because it was more than he got in 2016, but still less than Biden in 2020. Yeah. Anyway. Hey, we got to 50 likes today. That's awesome. Thank you so much, everybody. We did it.
But the election was rigged. It was a rigged election. And with COVID, they used COVID to cheat a lot.
It's deserved. Well, it's not just that he is the former president. I think people are saying that in the news headlines in order to posit the position that he did not get reelected, as like some people say, like Trump is still the president, such and such. Like in the same way that I noticed at some point that conservatives were saying Mr. Obama, even though he was the president. I was like, I see what you're doing. You're using like a proper term, but you're also not calling him President Obama because you're not acknowledging him as your president, It's not normal to say former president. It's purposefully done because he keeps asserting he won when he didn't. Yeah, I was like, I'm starting to notice this, and that must specifically be in order to counter that claim. He's claiming that he won the election, and he is the, quote, real president. He has never admitted that he lost, and the press is not trying to validate those lies. Fair enough. Degendering Obama. Also, it would be different when a president is voted out of office. Wait, you mean if they were, impeached out of office? Because I think just if you just leave the presidency because the usual process of someone else getting voted in happens, then you're still supposed to be called President so-and-so. Excuse me.
A lot of different things, and we have so much on it. It's so easy. But we had judges that didn't want to look. We had people didn't want to get involved. They called you, he's a conspiracy theorist if you say anything about the election. But I have never seen spirit like there is right now. Even coming down here, just at the people on the road that are just absolutely going crazy. And the reason is, I think they like me, and I know they love my policies. I hope they like me too. A lot of people say they don't like me, but they like I think they like me. But I have never seen...
He must be liked. He's like, I know they like my policies, but I hope they like me too. I feel like that's the kind of thing that you shouldn't admit in public if you're running for president. I'm not running for president. I can say, I hope that you all like me. I know that you're here for the content, but presumably you're also here because you like me as a person. But I feel like Trump, you should not say that. You should maybe not say out loud that you want people to like you, because we know that. We know that you want attention. It's like the thing that fuels you. Good Lord. Someone needs to... Has this man received any media training, whatsoever? I don't think so.
In spirit, like it is right now. And the reason is because crooked Joe Biden is so bad. He's the worst president in the history of our country. I don't think
he's the worst president in the history of our country. Kind of implies that he's the president. Trump, come on. You can't say that you're the real president and then also acknowledge Biden as the president. Come on, man. Come on.
He's going to make it to the gate, but you never know. but he's a corrupt person, so corrupt that I took the name off Hillary. You know, I don't do two people at one time. I took the crooked Hillary and I retired the name. That was a good day for her. I bet she was very happy. And I used it for Joe because it's Crooked Joe. But Joe is really...
But you don't think he's going to make it to November of 2024?
Well, I think he's worse mentally than he is physically. And physically, he's not exactly a triathlete or any kind of an athlete. You look at him, he can't walk to the helicopter. He walks, he can't lift his feet out of the grass. You know, it's only 2 inches at the White House, right?
He's like commenting on the way that Biden walks after people used to make fun of the way that Trump stands and walks. Like he waddles around and he stands like someone who like just pooped his pants, basically. Like,
it's not a lot, but you watch him and it looks like he's walking on toothpicks. So, and then you see him on the beach where he can't lift a chair. You know, those chairs are meant to be light, right? They're like 2 ounces. You lift them up. He can't lift the chair. He can't walk to the chair. And I don't know what they're doing with the beach. You know, this beach is seeming to play a big role, but they love pictures of him on the beach. I think it looks terrible on the beach. It looks terrible on the beach.
Skinny legs.
Well, he can't walk through the sand. You know, sand is not that easy to walk through, but when he walks through it, he can't walk through the sand. And there's somebody in there that thinks he looks fabulous at the beach. I think he looks horrible at the beach. Plus, the beach doesn't represent what a president's supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be working. You're supposed to be getting us out of that horrible, horrible war that we're...
Didn't Trump go golfing like more than literally any other president ever in the history of ever? Speaking of like, oh, Biden doesn't look good on the beach. You know, that's not the kind of image you should be projecting as president. Like, what you, like, sir. Yeah, Google Trump golf photo. He was literally always vacationing. Yeah. Like doing business, doing like presidential business out of Mar-a-Lago all the time. Goodness gracious. Yeah, the beach definitely represents Biden. Yeah, they have gone, like, when Biden got in, all of the Democrats went to brunch, and they still haven't come back in 3 years.
Very much involved in with Russia and Ukraine. You could do that. You could do that very easily. I believe you could do that I don't believe he could do it because he's just incompetent. But that's a war that should end immediately, not because of one side or the other, because hundreds of thousands of people are being killed. Can you imagine you're in an apartment house and rockets are going into that building and blowing it up and knocking it down? And why should anybody, human beings, whether they're Russian or Ukrainian or whatever they are, it's got to be stopped. And it can be stopped very easily. It would have never started. If I were president, it would have never started.
So they're talking about Ukraine right now, and he's like, I would put a stop to it if I was in charge of stuff. Like, what are you saying? Is it because of the aforementioned Putin dick sucking, or like, what is it? Trump is actually very pale, covers himself with orange makeup, his hair is thinning and looks unhealthy. Also, he's significantly overweight and may have inflammation and heart issues. Diabetes, perhaps? He does not look well. I mean, he's like 70-something, right? Like, how old is Mr. Trump? How old Donald Trump? Not Donald Trump Jr. God damn it, autofill. God, fucking 77. He's 77. Yeah, so, like, I think that it's just, like, a normal part of being 77. I mean, I feel like you would have to be fairly exceptional to be really in shape in your 70s, like, at being almost 80 years old, you know? And I'm not saying he looks great. I'm just saying that, like, it makes sense. And so whatever health issues he has, it's kind of whatever. Thank you, Shellbell. Ooh, for the gifted tier 1 sub. Mersh, enjoy your dicks. Thank you so much. Hell yeah, let me update the thingy-mabobber. I'll let this play.
So just back to Biden, I'm interested. So you think he's failing? He obviously is failing. I think it's clear to everybody. But that would make Kamala Harris the candidate?
Well, not really. I mean, I guess they'd have maybe a free-for-all. A lot of people say she has to remain for certain reasons the candidate. She has to. I don't think that's true, actually. I don't think that other people would stand for it. She has some bad moments. Her moments are almost as bad as his. I think his are worse, actually.
Yeah.
But
she seems pretty senile, too.
She speaks in rhyme.
Yeah, Kamala, I don't really know what to make of her whenever she talks. I'm just like, what is your deal, lady? Like, I genuinely don't know what her deal is. And I don't think that she would be a good candidate. I think that they're planning on running Biden again. That's probably what's going to happen. But I almost kind of hope that he picks a different VP, because I think that Kamala is just not the person we want to be in that spot if Biden does die in office. I mean, I don't think that he's going to, per se, but like if he were to, you know, I would definitely prefer someone other than Kamala. But I don't fucking want Biden as a president either, so I guess it doesn't really matter.
Weird. It's weird. But she has bad moments. And
in rhyme? What do you?
Well, the way she talks, the bus will go here and then the bus will go there because that's what buses do. And it's weird. The whole thing is weird. This is not a president of the United States.
Why did he say that she rhymes? I don't know. He did not rhyme also after that.
Its future. And I think they probably have some kind of a primary and other people will get involved.
Newsom, right? I
mean, could be. I mean, I always got along well with him, believe it or not. But could be him, could be somebody else. He's got a big load on his shoulders because you look at California, what's happened. But I don't know if the American people.
Gavin Newsom, who is the current governor of California, is that who we're talking about right now?
Really, the people that vote for him, I don't even know if they care. You look at so many of the things that are going on, and people don't seem to be. In the old days, if you had a bad record, it meant a lot. Today, if you have a bad record, it doesn't really mean anything. He looks good. He's a nice-looking guy, speaks well. But Biden, every time you watch him talking, it's like he's walking on eggs. You're waiting for him to collapse, and he almost always does.
So basically, he's trying to contrast himself against Biden as like, oh, he's not directly saying, but I'm strong and I can make it through this process. He's just like Biden is weak. He's got chicken legs and he's, it seems like he's not going to make it. And then Kamala's going to have to come in, as opposed to me, a very girthy man who's definitely going to live through the whole presidency.
And I got to know the leaders of all of the countries, essentially, but the big ones. And the bigger, the tougher the leader. It's like sort of, I guess maybe that's the way it's supposed to be. But I got to know President Xi of China and Putin and Kim Jong-un, North Korea. Did a great job with North Korea, kept us out of a nuclear war. We would have 40,000 dead soldiers right now. They'd drop a nuke right on top of the military base. But we have 40,000 soldiers over there. And I did great. I got along with them great. It was that's a positive. The press said, he said nice things about Kim Jong-un. I also said horrible things at the beginning. Horrible.
That's true. He did kind of, what did he say about Kim Jong-un initially? Something about being fat. And then later he was nicer. And this was like all on Twitter. Oh my God, dude. I can't believe we've been doing this for so long. Like, it's 2013. We've been talking about Trump in a serious political context for like 8 years. Oh my God. Okay.
Well enough that he wanted to talk. And we talked and we met in Singapore.
Oh yeah, he called him Rocket Man. Yeah, oh my God. It's been so long. It's been 84 years. Oh my God, dude.
We met actually twice, and we had unbelievable meetings. I know him very well. We were in great shape with him.
What do you think he and Xi and Putin think of Biden?
Oh, did I say it's 2013? Wait, what? Did I misspeak? I do that. I do that a lot.
Believe it. I think they probably say this is some kind of a system. They had great respect for our country. They respected me. They had great respect for our country when I was there. Every one of them. Look, if you go to North Korea, you take a look at what happened. The Olympics was dead. South Korea spent billions on the Olympics. Nobody was going to go. They didn't want to get blown up. They called me and they said, we are going to let the Olympics.
Which Olympics was that? Was that an Olympics during COVID? Is that why attendance was down?
Proceed. This is North Korea. I said, you should go into the Olympics. Put your athletes in. It wasn't like, they were big on athletes because,
Famine.
But they went in and they actually participated. And within about 2 days, the entire thing was sold out. And if it wasn't me, that would have never happened. But I got along very well with him, and that's a positive thing. He does have massive nuclear power, by the way. And if Hillary would have gotten in, or if the Obama thought process continued, it would have been a nuclear war, absolutely, with North Korea. He was expecting to go into a war, and it would have been a nuclear war.
So do you think the rest of the world looks on at Biden and thinks someone else has got to be running the government?
Well, somebody else has to be. I don't think he's capable of doing anything. Look, when I debated him, I said, how come, and this was in front of probably not a friend of yours, Chris Wallace, he was the moderator.
Not a friend.
I said, why is it? He wants to be Mike, but he doesn't have the talent. It's one of those
bitchy little man.
He wanted to be his father, but he didn't have the talent of his father was great. His father,
little fussy man.
His father interviewed me in 60 Minutes. It was actually a 10. Can you believe it?
No, I totally believe his father had talent, at least.
I may have been the only guy that he gave a good 60 Minutes to.
I'm so proud of Tucker for getting to be his weirdest self now. I'm just so proud of him. He's flourishing as a Twitter poster. Truly. He gets to be as weird as he wants to. Like, I don't know what it is with these guys. Like, if we stick around for long enough to start watching the presidential debate later, which we might not. I don't know. It depends on how long that takes. But like Ron DeSantis also has this like inability to just be a human being thing going on. And man, so does Tucker. It's crazy. This is like listening to my rambling racist grandpa trying to convince us that not everyone hates him. Two old women gossiping on the porch. True.
He was rough.
Really?
His father was tough. He was great, though. He was great at what he did. But Chris Wallace was so upset. He was guarding this guy, who wouldn't do a show, by the way. You know, he wouldn't do. I figured I didn't mind Chris Wallace because Biden wouldn't do a show. And it was very obvious. You know, he kept asking him and asking, but he wouldn't do the show. So I figured he's got to like me. But he came from a different planet. But remember when I asked the question, why is it that the mayor of Moscow's wife is allowed to give you $3.5 million? Don't forget, that was brought up. Now it's brought up all the time, but that was brought up by me long before anyone ever heard of it. I said, the mayor of Moscow's wife giving you $3.5 million. What did you do to deserve $3.5 million? To Biden. And Chris Wallace said, this has nothing to do with the debate. I mean, he
got in the way of the question.
No, it was crazy. And I said, well, wait a minute. He got $3.5 million from the mayor of Moscow's wife. Now, people forget that, but if you go back and take a look, you will see. And Chris Wallace didn't want me to ask that question. I said, I think it's a very appropriate question. It turned out to be much more appropriate than people thought.
Amazing. So do you
is a hipster.
have a preference in, assuming you're the Republican nominee and all goes as you plan it to go, do you have a preference in who you run against?
In many ways, I'd love to run against him because his record's so bad. You know, it's still horrible when you look at inflation and everything else, but others also have very bad records. I mean, California's a bad record, so, you know, should it be Gavin or should it be somebody else? When I look at San Francisco, what's happened to that incredible city? That was one of the greatest cities in the world just a short while ago, and now it's very sad when you look at it. Los Angeles, every city practically, all the Democrat-run cities. You know, Republican-run cities are doing very nicely because they arrest people when you have crimes, and they don't go after political candidates.
Isn't it an issue that the LA police were doing sweeps of homeless neighborhoods during this like crazy heat wave? Like taking away what small amount of shelter and like what small amount of personal protective equipment people might have, like the rags that they're using to like get wet and then keep their heads like cool, you know, like you're destroying people's limited belongings during a heat wave when most people aren't supposed to be outside anyway. Yeah, like in LA. So you're talking about like, oh, yeah, crimes. Jesus.
Because they think it's good, you know. I mean, it's like been amazing. My poll numbers are the highest I've ever had. But because people understand it.
Can I just ask you, that gets back to my original question. So if the protest didn't work, you got elected anyway. Yeah. Impeachment didn't work twice, obviously. Indictment is not working. Your poll numbers go up when they raided Mar-a-Lago in August of last year.
I don't think you're allowed to run if you're in jail, though. Like, if you end up in jail in Georgia for the conspiracy shit, you know, I don't think that that's going to work. Violent crime in Phoenix and Prescott, Arizona are super up. They absolutely never reduced money for cops in either of those places. Like, if he's sentenced, yeah. He can't technically run from prison.
Your numbers went up. They can indict you 20 times.
You can run if you are accused and not sentenced yet. Okay. So while he's not been convicted of a crime, sure.
And it's not gonna, you're not gonna lose the Republican primary because of that.
Well, so, it makes it look even more ridiculous. I mean, the 4 indictments, and maybe there'll be more. I don't know. These people are crazy.
But they're counterproductive. So if you chart it out, it's an escalation, is what I'm saying. Yeah. So what's next after, try to put you in prison for the rest of your life? That's not working. So like, don't they have to kill you now?
I think the people of our country don't get enough credit for how smart they are. And I'm not sure I would have said this 10 years ago, but they get it. You know, they really get it. When somebody gets indicted, your poll numbers go down. When somebody gets indicted, you announce, ladies and gentlemen, I'll be leaving to spend time with my family and to fight for the rest of my life for this stuff. But you're out of politics. I got indicted 4 times. All trivia, nonsense, bullshit. It's all bullshit. It's horrible when you look, and you look at what they're doing. The boxes hoax, I'm covered by the Presidential Records Act. I'm allowed to do exactly that. He's not covered, and he's got 25 times the number of boxes. And he's got them stored in Chinatown. He's got them stored in a flimsy garage underneath his Corvette at Penn. And by the way, at Penn, he gets millions of dollars. China pays this guy millions of dollars. See, I think he's the most corrupt president we've ever had. And he also has the distinction of being the most incompetent. And I believe both. I mean, he's both incompetent and corrupt.
I'm more worried about him not being eligible / not being the nominee than him going up against Biden. Trump v. Biden is a pretty solid lock for Biden, but I could see Vivek or some other smooth talker swinging the moderates into fascism. Maybe, I don't know. Like, Trump does seem to be doing really well. And, like, so if Trump isn't the nominee, are they going to be able to get enough support behind whatever other no-name? Because it's not going to be Ron DeSantis. Like, he is definitely not going to have it. Like, after, like, he's just got no charisma. What was it, Gayfesh, you said on Twitter that he has a charisma black hole? Like, it's just not going to happen.
I actually believe he's compromised because China knows so much about him. They know where the money comes from. They know where it is, who paid it, and they probably paid it. Well,
I don't know if that was me that said that, but yes, I'm gonna give you credit for it.
You pay Penn, and he gets $1 million. I think he takes $999,000 because keeps it a little bit under $1 million, like by $1. But he, in many ways, is a Manchurian candidate. We have a Manchurian candidate. And he's afraid to tell Russia to get out of Cuba. He's afraid to tell China to get out of Cuba. He's afraid. China now is building, think of this, China's building military installations in Cuba. The Cuban population of Miami is not too happy because they're never going to be able to go back. And you don't even hear about it. And the worst culprit is the press, the media, because normally, when I first heard that China's building installations in Cuba, and installations means military installations, okay, they said just some communication. They did that on the islands with Japan. They took the island, they started this massive construction, and they told everybody, including the Japanese have to be very careful. They told everybody that this is a housing development. They're going to build a housing development. And I said, how come the runway is 20,000 feet long? Private jets need 4,000 feet. They don't need 20,000 feet. The big ones need 20,000
The kind of hyper-specific things when you've been like a mega millionaire your entire life.
feet. They don't even need 20. And I looked at the runway, I said, that's the largest runway ever built, both in width and length, for housing development. There's nobody that has a plane that big that you would have a runway that's
Why is
for
China
testing.
allowed to conduct imperialism in our hemisphere?
Well, yeah, and it's far beyond Cuba. It's all over South America.
Yeah, in the Caribbean.
So we built a thing called the Panama Canal. We lost 35,000 people to the mosquito, malaria.
Yeah.
We lost 35,000 people building. We lost 35,000 people because of the mosquito. Vicious. They had to build under nets. It was one of the true great wonders of the world. As he said, one of the 9 wonders of the world. No, it was one of the 7. It happened a little while ago, There's 9 wonders of the world. You could make 9 wonders. He would have been better off if he stuck with the 9 and just said, yeah, I think it's 9. But this is one of the true 7 wonders of the world.
Tangents this man goes
and you take
on.
a look at the Panama Canal. It was such an incredible engineering marvel. We sold it under Jimmy Carter. We sold it to Panama for $1. The following day, they quadrupled the amount of money that ships had to pay to get across. They didn't lose one ship. And now they've made it much bigger, and now they've widened it. They've doubled it, right? They've more than doubled it. And it's one of the most profitable things. Any time it's just incredible, right? We gave it away for $1. China now controls it. They actually control the Panama Canal. They run it. They control it.
Oh my God, I don't know
And
what
we
happened to
shouldn't
my
let that
connection
happen.
for a second
And
there.
we can't let China be in Cuba. And they'll get out. If I'm president, they'll get out. Because I had a very good relationship with President.
So China has disproportionate control over the Panama Canal? Is that what we're talking about? We got to talk about how bad China is. Yeah. Right, how many countries does the U.S. have their military placed? It's like, it's okay when we do it. It's not okay when other people do it. This is the Republican mantra. In fairness, birthright citizenship is wrong, but for different reasons. Yeah, I'm sure that whenever it is, whether it's today or whether we wait until Sunday, when we talk about the Republican debate, I'm sure we'll talk about that citizenship question, because, yeah, they've talked about all kinds of crazy shit during that.
President Xi, but he respected this country. He respected me. And he'll get out. And we can't let them run the Panama Canal. We built the Panama Canal. Should have never been given to Panama. We should have had it. But we gave it for $1. Think of it. They quadrupled. In one day, they lifted the fees, which are, pretty big for these massive ships to go through, right? Rather than going around the Cape and through all the tremendous storms, such beauty, it's beautiful stuff. But you didn't want to get caught in those storms. Those were storms that wiped out the biggest ships. And we go through the Panama Canal, we built it, and we gave it away for $1. Think of that, how stupid are we? We have done the stupidest things in this country. And now we have a president that can't put 2 sentences together, can't speak, can't walk, can't talk. I don't think he gets to the starting gate, but these people do miracles. I mean, he ran out of his basement, and you got away with that one because of COVID, so he sort of got away with it. They cheated on the election. But you have people that are very smart, but they're fascists and they're radical left lunatics, and they're destroying our country with the all-electric cars and the windmills all over the place, which, by the way, don't work, and most of them made in China. For the most part, they're made in China. Germany a little bit, but China. But you look at what's happening to our country, even no voter ID. I mean, why don't they want voter ID? There's only one reason they don't want voter ID, because they want to cheat. I mean, who doesn't want, the Democrat convention, the last one, they had...
Oh my God, there were just so many buzzwords in such a short period of time. Like the fascist left wing who they're ruining the country with these electric cars and windmills. Yeah, those fascists with their electric cars and windmills. He directly said he thinks left-wingers are fascists. Yeah, of course. I mean, it's not that he actually thinks that. It's what they are going to claim. I mean, they've been doing it for forever. It's always like conservatives will accuse left-wingers of being fascist. Like, they always do that. Even though they also said something about he said no voter ID, like no ID required to vote situation. Which, like... Again, typically it's fascists who want you to have your ID at all times for shit, like in order to access basic services, in order to like not get accosted by police, like I want my electric car to have a windmill. Yeah, you would generate so much power if you just put it sideways, and then anytime you're driving forward, then you're pushing the windmill and you're generating power. Ignore the fact that it's going to make you less aerodynamic and then consequently make you use more fuel. Ignore that part. Ignore that. By the way, you should hit the like button if you haven't already. Let's see if we can make it to 100 today. Maybe not, but maybe. Let's see. Every time y'all hit like, then more people come to the show. So that's going to be a lot of fun. What's up, Jade? They just accuse the left of doing exactly what they're doing, so when they get caught, it's that much harder to call them out on it. Yeah, I mean, it's just constant deflection and, like, Darvo, like, I'm not doing it, you're doing it, and if I was doing it, I would be right anyway. Yeah, put solar panels on the car in order to start it, and then put a windmill on it to generate on the highway. Exactly.
Voter ID that was this big, it looked like a prison card. This big on their chest. You walked in, they had your picture, your this, your fingerprint, they had everything. The most incredible voter ID I've ever seen. That was to get into the Democrat National Convention. But to get in to vote, if you buy groceries, if you buy practically anything now, you have...
Oh, you had to have extensive security in order to get into the Democratic National Convention, a place where a whole bunch of high-profile Democrats are going to be, like a bunch of people who are potentially subject to political assassination. Oh no, you had increased security there, but at like any random voting booth, you didn't have extensive security and double checking and triple checking, like, and forcing people to wear a placard with their identification, like, declared on the front of it. Holy shit. Anyway. Yeah, exactly. It's the narcissist prayer. That didn't happen, and if it did, it wasn't that bad, and if it was that bad, it's not a big deal, and if it is a big deal, that's not my fault, and if it were my fault, I didn't mean it, and if I did, then you deserved it. Like, it just keeps going. Are we talking conservative projection? Yeah, right this second, Junebug. We're talking conservative projection. Bo of the Fifth Column did a video this week on how Russia fears the they/them army? They/army?
ID on a card, credit cards or otherwise.
But don't you think it's racist to have to show your ID?
Well, they probably say that. They use anything not to show ID because...
Yeah, I mean, listen, anything that you make people pay for in order to access something essential like voting, it's going to disproportionately affect people who are poor, and people who are poor are disproportionately people of color. So yes, it is a racist policy to make people have like an ID unless you provide it for them. And then it's everybody's equal. If you make IDs free, then sure, it's not a racist policy anymore.
Voter ID is pretty simple, and we could go back, and we should go back to all paper ballots, voter ID, same-day voting. You know, France did it. France had mail-in ballots.
Ugh,
it was
gross.
terrible. Anytime you have mail-in ballots, you're going to have massive cheating on your elections. Anytime, but not just the presidential election. Anytime you have...
Isn't that the whole point of them? So
yeah.
you can
Oh,
cheat?
yeah, sure. It's a whole...
As we have more and more old people and more disabled people, nope, you're not allowed to vote from home.
That's their whole point. They want to cheat, yeah. They have to cheat because their policies are so bad that if they didn't cheat, they couldn't get elected. Who wants open borders? Who wants high taxes? Who wants high interest rates? Who wants to not be able to use a gas stove or have to drive an electric car, which, you know...
They're getting on the gas stoves thing And oh, you're being forced to drive an electric car.
You have a 4-hour drive, but the car only goes an hour and a half, so you have to charge it. The happiest moment for somebody in an electric car is the first 10 minutes. In other words, you get it charged, and now for 10 minutes. The unhappiest part is the next hour because you're petrified.
I guess Trump isn't a Tesla fan. Like, he's not an Elon Musk stan. Otherwise, he would be talking up the electric vehicles.
That you're not going to be finding another charger. People, I'm saying, if people, I'm not knocking electric cars, they're fine. They're fine. But if people want to buy a gasoline car or a hybrids are pretty good, actually. But they should be allowed to buy. They don't want to do any of this. So right now, California's in a big brownout because their grid is a disaster. The grid all over the country is sort of a disaster, but the grid in California. And yet, they want to have it in a very short period of time.
You're talking about the grid in California? I'm sorry, sir. Have you heard of Texas before?
Millions and millions of cars going off that grid, essentially.
Plug-in hybrid EVs are ideal, IMO. I mean, it makes sense to me that, like, instead of going full electric, where you're completely dependent on having access to the charger, you know, you have absolutely no ability to go beyond, you know, your battery's capacity or what have you. You know, like, sure, have a like gasoline starts the engine, or like gas helps during certain situations, you know, but it's not 100% of it. It's like, it's not like electric doesn't also use like the same negative processes of excavating a bunch of fossilized shit, you know? Like, electricity, by and large, is also made by burning shit. Yeah, for most of your day-to-day driving, unless you have a huge commute, a plug-in hybrid wouldn't even be using gas. Is that not a problem? Doesn't gas go bad in like 6 months? So if you put gasoline in your EV or your hybrid vehicle and then you don't need gas really, would you need to like have the tank drained every 6 months? He's kissing the behind of fossil fuel industry to get their PAC money. True. Just use a bus and let's make public transit stop being trash. I will not go on public transit until COVID is much less of a thing. Nope, not doing it. I would need like goggles in order to tolerate being stuck in a tube with a bunch of disgusting strangers. Like, fuck that. Oh my God.
It doesn't work.
So plug your car into a grid that's failing.
You should be able to buy an electric car. You know, electric cars could be fine if you drive short distances and you want to have, you know, whatever, and you have plug-ins everywhere you go. They could be fine. But you got to have gasoline cars. You got to have everything. Let people buy everything. Now there's the new thing is your heating systems in the house. They don't want you to have a modern day heating system. They want you to use a heating system that will cost you at least $10,000 to buy and won't work very well. You know, none of this.
Wait, cars in theory aren't that much safer. You still have shared parking usually. What are you talking about? Are you talking about like parking garages or something? Because, I mean, maybe it's because I have the privilege of living in Kansas where things are a little bit more sprawled out, but it's not like, as far as COVID is concerned, like there is like basically zero exposure to other people. If you have shared areas where you need to park, that's communal areas too. Do you mean like, okay, I'm not even going to entertain this comparison. Like, you know that that's a stupid comparison. Like, between being stuck in a sardine can versus, like, perhaps coming in contact with another human in a like, open parking lot. Come on.
This stuff works as well. One of the things I did with EPA is you have states, many states, most of the states have so much water. You know, it comes out of heaven, right? The water pours down and you have it. It's there. It's got to go wherever it goes, into the oceans, whatever. It's not like a big problem. Now, in some states, they have a problem. You know, you have some desert areas and all, and for that, it's okay. But they have sinks where no water comes out. You turn it on, no water comes out.
Wait, what?
No water comes out of the shower. No water is allowed to go into the washing machine for your dishes or for your clothing.
Oh, is he talking about California? Is he talking about the drought?
I avoided all of that.
Wait, they have sinks where no water comes out?
Sure, you have restrictors. When I say no water, very little water. You want to wash your hands, right?
Yeah.
And you've seen this, and you turn on the sink, and it's very
He's talking about
little.
California?
Or you want to wash your beautiful hair, right? And
you assume all public transit is buses? Okay, so like buses and subways, is a taxi considered public transit? I mean, it's not in the same way exactly. But like in every single one of these instances, you are trapped in a small space with strangers versus like the potential of walking past someone in a parking lot outside. Or even a parking lot in even a parking lot in like a garage, it's still going to be like, there's still airflow, you know? I guess bikes are a way to do public transit. Okay, I mean, yeah, that's a fair point. It's not like a typical form of public transit in my part of the country. Like, we have buses. I think it's mostly in more tightly packed cities. Like, here's the thing about Kansas, and like the reason why I was saying like we don't have parking garages, like it's more sprawled out. You have open parking lots where there's like a bunch of flat space, you know? But like, so the closer and more densely packed an area is, I think the more likely you are to have something like bicycles. But also, yeah, like a bicycle is out of the 4 public transit options that you might have. Like, let's say taxis are included. Let's say buses. Let's say subways. And then bikes. Overwhelmingly, public transit involves being exposed to people in a small space. My apartment shower head is low flow because of a certain nozzle that my landlord insisted we use. Yeah, so I think that he's saying in some places he's been to that the water flow is restricted because of like drought conditions, I assume.
You're standing under a shower. Then the suds never go. If the water comes out very slowly, I'm sure you've seen this. It usually takes place in new hotels and new homes.
Yeah, you take a.
Okay, I feel like you're really stretching the definition of public transit if you say sidewalks are public transit. Like, this just in, everybody, news. Walking counts as public transit. I mean, yes, technically, I guess. But that's not the. It's like the transit part of like getting to a place. Like, city design is part of public transit design. I mean, I guess legs are public transit. Like, this is not what people typically think of when we're talking about public transit. We're usually talking about like alternatives to cars that are like still a vehicle to get you to the place that you need to be at, right? The Los Angeles water department. Currently, roads were designed by capitalists that were trying to sell cars. Sure. Like, city infrastructure is a thing. It's not public if you own the... Okay, thank you, Eric. It's not public if you own the thing that's getting you there. Your feet are not publicly available. Yeah, water pressure caused by drought conditions. What could that be? Yeah, encouraging walking to fund big shoe.
Drill and take the
They have
limiter out.
well, you can, but now they make it so you can't do that so easily. They have a restrictor. It's called a restrictor, and it restricts the water from coming out. So I ended all of that, and you have to see these. They let the water come out. You know what people do? They wash their hands like 5 times longer, or in the washing machine, they'll press for their, let's say the dishwasher, they'll press it. Then they'll press it about 7 or 8 times.
Yeah.
They'll end up using more water, and it still won't be very good. I met with the head of Whirlpool. They were practically going out of business during my administration, and they said to me, from Ohio, incredible, great state, I love Ohio, and they were really doing badly because people would...
So I understand walking was just one example. Plenty of options for travel that don't require cars if the city is designed for it. Do you just mean like, by that, do you mean that don't require any transit vehicles? Like... Because when you say cars, when we're having a conversation about public transit, I'm thinking like my personally owned vehicle. Are you saying like there are plenty of options for travel that don't require that kind of vehicle, including like buses? Ideally, we should be able to walk from home for most things. I mean, I guess, sure. I do. I mean, I appreciate having the ability to go further away, you know? I don't know what this system is going to look like in the ideal world, you know? Like, it would be cool if we had businesses closer to our homes so that we could go to them and also not have hugely business-dominated areas that are, like, really shitty to walk through and everything, you know? Cities designed around being able to walk only 10 minutes to most of your needs is a thing. In my area, most people don't drive because you can do that, but it's hard to restructure cities for this. Yeah, it's not in person. It's not impossible. Like, it's not something that you can't do. I just personally have like a pretty high degree of value assigned to having my own car. Like there's like an assurance of like, yes, I can get anywhere I need to go. It doesn't matter what time the buses are running, or how far away the thing is. I can choose to go. Listen, I'm the kind of person who drives like pretty far to go to the grocery store that I want to go to. There are closer stores. Some of them I could even probably walk to, but like I want to go to where I want to go, and also not having to haul a bunch of groceries around. Like I understand that these preferences have been shaped by having a car, and also for the time being, the other options available to me, I would not want to switch to. And if I move to a big city like Washington, that's going to be a place where the kind of public transit options that I have are going to be the sardine can ones, you know? The closest grocery store to my house is 5 miles away. Oh my God. You're gonna walk that. Venusian points out, I want to be able to travel from one place to another without people looking at me. Oh, gosh.
Dumping washing machines all over, mostly from South Korea, but also from China. And he was explaining it's just a terrible situation. I said, let me ask you, how's the quality? He says, we're better, but they are good enough quality. But, of course, he's going to say that. But, they are better. He said, but they don't allow us. They're dumping these machines. They're cutting us in half. They're killing us. And on top of it, the government won't let us use water in our machines. I mean, he shows me like a quarter of a bottle of water. That's supposed to be washing clothing. And I freed it all up, and I put tariffs on these countries that were selling and the machines coming into the country. And that company went from all the washing machine companies, they make washing machines, they make dryers, they make
Tucker,
all the
reel this
machines
in.
That do this kind of work.
We've been having a public transit argument because he's just talking about whatever.
Just thriving.
But
can I
ask
they love me in that part of Ohio.
Well, I bet they do, but why should EPA, no one at EPA was elected by anybody,
Yeah.
Why do they have the power to decide how much water your washing machine uses? Shouldn't Congress in a democracy get to vote on that?
Yeah, you could say that. They do things that are not very...
So how do you, that's my question, how do you, if you get elected again, go back to Washington, how do you keep the agencies under control? How do you keep FBI and CIA specifically under
are we going to
control?
talk about getting rid of all these agencies now?
Well, you do it like I fired Comey. That was a big deal. A lot of people said, and I fired him very early. Somebody said, I wish you would have fired him. There was a real question about firing him. Anyway, you understand, because, when they have a 10-year term, there is a question. I fired Comey. That was a great thing. If I didn't fire Comey, maybe I wouldn't be talking to you, or I'd be talking to you about real estate or something else other than politics, right? That was a coup, in my opinion. That was a very sick deal. That was the insurance policy. You remember the insurance policy? Oh, she's going to win, darling. She's going to win. But just in case she doesn't, we have an insurance policy. And insurance policy was what they were doing. And we caught them with that. That was a very important tweet or whatever it was, text. It was a big deal. That was a big deal. The insurance policy. She's going to win 100 million to 1. That's not good odds. At least they gave me one, right? 100 million to 1. But just in case she doesn't win, we have an insurance policy. And everybody said, that's strange. That's strange. But we caught all of that because I fired Comey. Because when I fired Comey, it was like throwing a rock into a hornet's nest, into a nest of bees, and the place went crazy.
So when you were president, are you confident that you knew everything, say, CIA was doing around the world?
No, I'm not. It's a very interesting group of people. I had very good relationships, I thought. But I was a little surprised when I got out that, things go on. Look, it's...
What were you surprised by?
I was surprised. I think it's some of the people. I was surprised that there was... I had a group of people. Look, we killed many, using the CIA, I have to say this, very bad actors. We were very good at it. You look at Soleimani, you look at al-Baghdadi, bigger than Osama bin Laden. I mean, Osama bin Laden is... But al-Baghdadi did ISIS, and he was rebuilding ISIS very strongly.
And that was the CIA that did that?
That was really us that did that. Yeah. That was really us that did that. And
outrageous
Soleimani
claims.
Was us that did that.
Does anyone know what he's talking about, insurance policy? No, I have no idea. And I realize that I keep pausing and cutting away, but like I genuinely don't feel like these ideas are stringing together in a way that is like able to be coherently followed. Orange Man is currently en route from airport to jail to get his mugshot. Oh, that's nice. Live updates on the Georgia indictment. Former Trump White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows surrendered today, a day after former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani surrendered for arrest. Yeah, we saw Giuliani's mugshots already. Former President Trump has landed in Georgia and is on his way to surrender at the Fulton County Jail on felony charges in connection with efforts to overturn the 2020 presidential election results in that state. Trump used a local bail bondsman to post his bond. He has already paid, a bonding agent confirmed. So he's just going to get booked in, and then they're going to immediately release him because he paid his bail, right? Is that how that works? I've got a meme prepared. I just need the mugshot to complete it. I'm so proud of all you shitposting memesters. So proud. My boyfriend just said that I'm easier to follow when I'm in psychosis than Trump in this, and honestly, I can see how that's a thing. I mean, when you're in psychosis, like, there is still an internally consistent thing going on, right? You know, like, there is some, it's a different consistency that doesn't match up with reality, right? But you've got your own internal thing going on, you know? I must say that I love that every indictment so far has included live helicopter coverage of the motorcade going from the airport to the jail. Yeah, absolutely. Like, this is critical, important news. Let's watch these cars drive from the place to the place. Like, I mean, I guess I don't know what else you're gonna do. There certainly isn't, like, a global fucking climate catastrophe going on that you could be talking about or anything like that. Anyway, I'm gonna frame the mugshot and put it on my wall. Oh, I'm so proud of you, you weirdos. Okay, let's go back to this.
But we did some very good work with the CIA. What I started, you know, when I looked at the 51 intelligence agents saying that that was the laptop from hell was Russia disinformation, when I took a look at that, I said, that's a horrible thing. They knew it wasn't. They knew it was not. And by the way, you're talking about cheating on the election? McLaughlin and Fabrizio, great pollsters, they said a thing like that plus other things meant anywhere from 10 to 17% of the vote would change.
Whatever happened to Mike Pence? You've always been nice to Pence. I've never heard you criticize Pence. You've defended him in public many, many times. He's out there attacking you. What is that?
So Mike wants to run for president. You got to understand, in my opinion, Mike Pence had the absolute right to send the votes back to the legislatures. The Democrats and everybody said, you don't have the right. In other words, what I said, is he a human conveyor belt? You mean if he finds fraud in Pennsylvania, in Georgia, in any of these states, Arizona, he has to send them to Mitch McConnell, right? That's right, sir. Well, if he finds fraud, he has to? Yes, sir. I said, so he's a conveyor belt. Boom, put him in. I said, I don't agree with that. And we had some lawyers, not all, we had some lawyers that said, no, you do have the right to send them back to the legislatures to be rechecked. Because if you looked at what went on in Wisconsin, who, by the way, now agree with me, Wisconsin has been virtually, other than the fact they're not allowed to do anything statutorily, but Wisconsin has been, I mean, what they found is incredible. I mean, we won.
I mean, didn't the Supreme Court nominee in Wisconsin win that we were trying to get to win? There was a woman. And so part of the reason why it was so important for her to win and why I got my ass involved in an election in a state that has nothing to do with me was because, like, her presence on the Supreme Court puts the majority firmly on the side of not letting the election go to a miscounted thing. Like, not letting the Republicans steal the election in Wisconsin. Yeah, he called and asked for more votes. God.
Wisconsin. But Mike Pence had the right, in my opinion, to send him back.
Do you ever talk to him now?
No, I haven't spoken to him in a long time. I was very disappointed in him. I didn't want to do what Thomas Jefferson did. Thomas Jefferson, it was Georgia. And it was, hear ye, hear ye, the great state of Georgia is not capable or allowed to tabulate their votes. And Thomas Jefferson, who was the vice president, said, is Georgia sure that they cannot tabulate their votes? Georgia is sure. He didn't send him back and have him redo it. He said, we will keep the votes of the great state of Georgia for Thomas Jefferson and his president. I didn't ask him for that. Could have done that too, but I didn't. I thought that would be turmoil. I asked him to send him back to his legislature, to the legislatures, you know, in Wisconsin, let's say.
But why didn't he? I mean, you'd worked.
They're planning on indicting hundreds of people for the election debacle eventually. I've read several articles about it recently. Yeah, there were, like, so many collaborators. Like, wasn't there gonna actually be, weren't there in a couple states they tried to send the not actual electors? Like, you know, each state gets 2 electoral college votes. Like, they were sending the wrong people, and genuinely they got caught doing that. Oh, camera, you're doing this to me again? Girl. Okay, well, you're back now. cool.
Yeah, for 4 years, you're the president, he's VP, you say you're aligned on everything.
I think he got very bad advice. I really do. Now, let me tell you what happened. I sat there with a few people. I think his lawyer was in the room too. His lawyer was very much against it. There were other lawyers that felt you could do it. It was one of those things. I think you could have done it. I think you can always do something if you see fraud or if you see problems. But it's very interesting. So after the election was over, the rhinos got together with the Democrats and they redid the election, so you couldn't do it anymore. So then I called the people. I said, so in other words, you're saying I was right. You could do it. Yes, you could do it. In other words, they took the Voting Act and they redid it so the vice president no longer has the power to do what I said he could do. So when that happened, I said, wow. And you'd look some of these Democrats in the eye and they'd say, he has absolutely no right to do it. And immediately after the election, they met rhinos, could name them all, and Democrats, and they approved legislation that takes away the right of the vice president to do it. So I said, so you're saying I was right. The vice president did have the right to do it, and they said, yes, he did.
So if you're saying they stole it from you last time, why wouldn't they do the same this time?
Oh, well, they'll try. They're going to be trying, yeah. And not only me, Look, DeSantis is out. I think he's gone. So he was at a level. People have figured him out. He's gone. But if somebody else got in, other than me, they'll go at him just as viciously as they did me. These people are sick. They will go after them. And a lot of people say they won't be able to hold up. I do get credit for holding up quite well, I must tell you. I think that's...
How do you do that? How do you get indicted, every week and stay cheerful?
I think it's a lot easier because I'm so high in the polls, because it means the people get it. The people see it's a fraud. The people see it. Like this horrible district attorney from just a little while ago, from essentially Atlanta, that's Fulton County. She said, basically, I don't have any right to challenge an election. Well, what about Stacey Abrams? What about Hillary Clinton? What about all of these Democrats that are still challenging my election? The same people that are saying he's challenging an election challenged my election. And they did it with slates. They did it with all sorts of things. They were very bad about it. But basically, they're suing me, and they're saying, you don't have any right to challenge it. If you challenge an election, we're going to indict you and put you in jail. So what they're doing is they've weaponized, and don't kid yourself.
I mean, he literally has to make up a bunch of bullshit and lie about the fact that he literally was like, can you find me some more votes? Like, the lying and the spinning is what's happening now. And I'm just like, okay. His tone got all seductive when Jefferson came up.
So if the DOJ and Biden and the whole group, they're watching all of this stuff. They love the local stuff. The DA in Manhattan. Not only that, they put one of the DOJ top people into the Manhattan DA's office to run things. They don't even have a case against me. It's not even a case. Everyone says, even the Democrats say, you can't bring these cases. You have no case. The Attorney General or the District Attorney, Fannie Willis, in Atlanta, she's getting killed. Basically, she's saying Trump doesn't have the right to criticize an election. But you've been around long enough now. You've seen many elections criticized. I mean, Hillary Clinton goes crazy. Every time she talks, she says, he's not the president. Jimmy Carter said, he's not the president. Well, I am the president. Hillary Clinton called me, by the way, at 3:02 in the morning to congratulate me the night of the election.
Did her voice crack?
Well, her voice was it's very different, I will say. I won't get into that. But
what do you mean?
Her voice was very different. Don't forget, they were all celebrating at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And I came home and I said, I think we won. I felt we won because the rallies are so big. We'd go to Wisconsin and we'd go to...
He keeps bobbing back between talking about 2016 and 2020. The call lasted an hour. He was leaning hard into the guy. Yeah, they're like, just get me more votes. I just need them. I need to get more votes. I think he was saying she's getting killed, like, in the sense that, she's not doing well in the media. Like, I think that he meant that metaphorically.
Georgia, we'd go to different states. In Michigan, we'd have rallies. In Pennsylvania, we had 58,000 people in Butler. And I said, how are we losing this? How do you have a rally where you have from 50 to 100,000 people, many of them? I did 7 a day for a couple of days. That's a lot. These are big rallies, too. And I didn't hold back. I didn't say, let's make them let's do abbreviations, right? But they challenged this stuff. Yeah. Hillary called me up and conceded. Now, the word is that Obama said you have to do that. But she called up and totally conceded. But now, every time you see her on television.
I mean, it's considered part of the process, when you like concede publicly and privately. And that's like one of the things that ensures that elections are okay. Basically, like you're entering a contract almost by participating in the election to say like, okay, if I lose, I won't try to like undermine that or seize power. You know, you have to treat the electoral process as though it is fundamentally legitimate. You can have questions about like the particulars, but like yeah, the idea that you would just not like the election results despite all evidence to the contrary, and then like declare that the other person isn't actually in charge, like, yeah, it's part of what undermines a democratic institution. He's talking like a dude who peaked in high school about his football days and showing Stacey who's popular now. Yeah, my partner mentioned the song How Do You Like Me Now by, I can't remember who it was by, one of those country guys, and I was like, I haven't really thought about this song in a long time, and I Googled up the lyrics, and it was like, it's like, this is incel country music right here. He's like, this girl rejected me in high school, and now I'm on the radio. How do you like me now, bitch? Like, it's so fucked up. Kari Lake has been doing this to Arizona now. Yeah. He's turning himself into authorities right now. The mug shots, they're gonna be on the internet soon. Spinning the idea he is the everyday person's billionaire.
And she's saying like, well, she's challenging the election.
Do you think...
So that would mean that she should be indicted, but that would mean also that Stacey Abrams in Georgia should be indicted, because she still thinks she won the election for governor. She still thinks that. She's never recanted. And
do you think Stacey Abrams will be indicted for that?
No, of course not. She won't be. The Democrats don't get indicted for things like that. They don't get impeached. No, it's a different thing. With that being said,
yes,
I had great support when they did impeachment hoax #1 and impeachment hoax #2. Jim Jordan, the House was fantastic. And actually the Senate was very good for me, other than, Mitch McConnell. I think if he had, it's too bad I endorsed him. He was begging, he was going to lose that race, and I endorsed him, and he ended up winning the race because of my endorsement. He was down, he was going to lose.
This is one of those moments where I kind of feel like it was actually a benefit that Tucker was on Fox News before, and he would need to like get this interview down to below a certain amount of minutes so that it could be aired and still fit within their hour. Like you're just letting Trump talk and like letting him meander topics and allude to things without being clear and things. And Tucker is like trying his best to get clarity on some things, but man, this is a train wreck.
Amy McGrath, she was $90 million in cash, all set to go. She was leading by 3. He was going down. I did him a favor, and then 3-4 months later, he really wanted to impeach me. He's a bad guy. But if you look at what's going on politically, it's so interesting. The level of loyalty is different in politics than it is in normal life, I will say. With that being said, I've had great loyalty also. But the House was fantastic. The Senate was very good. They overrode Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell, in my opinion, was trying to get senators to impeach me, especially for the second one. And on the first one, he acted very, very slow. He should have gone much faster. But Mitch McConnell wanted to, and the senators went up to him, guys that are subservient to him because he gives money. He gives them money. He gives them a lot of money. He raises some money and he gives it to them, and therefore they do what he said. That's the only form of leadership he's got.
So last question, if you're elected president again, what's your number one priority? When you ran last time, you said, I will build a wall. This time, your bottom line top promise to the country.
So you can do numerous things at the same time.
Of course.
But let's say number one is a border, and taking hundreds of thousands of criminals that have been allowed into our country and getting them out and bringing them back to their country, Guatemala. By the way, not only the 4 countries that we think of as neighbors, all over the world. Last month, we had 149 countries.
So yeah, he was like, what's your central theme? And the central theme of the last time you ran was, build the wall. And it's the same thing. It's also, again, he's like borders. At least he didn't say fucking trans kids or something. Because, frankly, the very first campaign ad that Trump put out, the 4-minute campaign ad that he put out a few months ago, we covered it. He rapid fire throughout every single anti-trans talking point. So, I mean, he's still, frankly, there's still 3 minutes left in this video. He could pull it out, but at least he didn't say that's my number one priority, as would be implied by the video before. Maybe his team has realized that is actually politically not doing so great for them. It's not great for polling. So, maybe he'll still do violently anti-trans things when he potentially gets into office, but it's not the first thing on his mind.
Countries represented, think of it. We had 149 countries represented, Tucker, from places that many people never even heard of. coming into our country. And they're coming in from mental institutions, and they're coming in from prisons. They're emptying out their prisons all over South America. They're emptying out their mental institutions. Terrorists are pouring into our country. We have no idea. I had the strongest border in the history of our country, and I built almost...
It's basically like, you know, a lot of the Republican Party are using trans people as their scapegoat for the fascist takeover, and Trump is just going to lean back on that, like, anti-immigrant scapegoat. Like, it's a little bit less unpopular, I guess.
Almost 500 miles of wall. You know, they like to say, oh, was it less? No. I built 500 miles. In fact, if you check with the authorities on the border, we built almost 500 miles of wall. And I had another 200 that I was going to build. You know, it's like water. It seeks. And we're going to build another 200. We built it. It was all set to go. All they had to do was install it. It would have taken 3 weeks. And that's when I found out. I said, I think these people actually want open borders. The first thing I would do would be I would seal up the border good and tight, except for people that want to come in legally.
Do you think we're moving towards civil war?
There's tremendous passion and there's tremendous love. You know,
I feel like I guess I appreciate Tucker for just asking straight out if there's going to be a civil war. Like, if, you know, like, I guess it's like they're trying to push things that direction in a way, weirdly enough. Like, let's plant the seed of the idea of a civil war, because maybe all of these crazy people haven't already been thinking about it. Yeah, wait until he finds a trans immigrant, he will lose his mind. Yeah, it's really unfortunate, the, like, compounding difficulties. It sucks, like, you're less likely to find a trans immigrant because they're killed more often while they're trying to enter the country, so.
January 6th was a very interesting day because they don't report it properly. I believe it was the largest crowd I've ever spoken before, and you know some of the crowds I've spoken before. And like July 4th on the Mall, I think they had 1 million people there.
Talking about January 6th now?
But I think that the biggest crowd I've ever spoken before was on January 6th, and people that were in that crowd, a very, very small group of people, and we said patriotically and peacefully and patriotically, right? Nobody ever says that. Go peacefully and patriotically. But people that were in that crowd that day, very small group of people, went down there, and then there are a lot of scenarios that we can talk about. But people in that crowd said it was the most beautiful day they've ever experienced. There was love in that crowd. There was love and unity. I have never seen such spirit and such passion and such love. And I've also never seen simultaneously and from the same people such hatred of what they've done to our country.
So do you think it's possible that there's open conflict? We seem to be moving towards something.
I don't know, because I don't know what it, you know, I can say this. There's a level of passion that I've never seen. There's a level of hatred that I've never seen, and that's probably a bad combination.
Donald Trump, thank you.
Thank you very much.
So, okay, he's like, there's a more passion than I've ever seen before, and there's more hatred than I've ever seen before. Ergo, it's not a good combo if you're asking me about a civil war. Oh, man. Oh, man. That started out really funny, and then it was like, it's like hard to follow at a certain point. It's like, what are you even talking about right now? Because part of the thing is, like, he can't be clear, right? You know, he has to speak euphemistically. He kept saying something about insurance. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, that's part of it. Yeah. Yeah, it's like the stand back and stand by Tucker asking Trump if we're going to have a civil war. Also, that wall is going to kill several migratory species, probably. Yeah, like, you're supposed to have areas where wildlife can still cross if, you know, people are trying to make crossings over roads and stuff so that you don't mess up the migratory patterns of certain animals. I feel like you could just ask Trump what his favorite fruit is, and he would go off about juicing for 45 minutes. It would start off, it would be juicing for like the first 6 minutes, and then it would go somewhere totally else. Deserts are very delicate ecosystems. What Trump did to Saguaro National Monument was beyond tragic. I have not heard of this. Did they manage to completely avoid the trans question during the debate? I'm debating whether we should start it today and then finish it Sunday, or if we should just do the entire thing Sunday. He never finishes a thought. He has a difficult time finishing thoughts. I feel like Tucker reeled him in a couple times, but there was a lot of just, dude, letting Trump talk for a while. Very little reference to trans stuff. I'm kind of shocked by that they didn't reference trans people very much because of how big of an issue is. I mean, they're just going to keep doing it quietly. Like, they're just going to keep doing the horrendous limiting of our rights quietly. Like, the thing in Missouri, you know, they have successfully limited trans youth who are not grandfathered in on the care, and also incarcerated adults. Like, if you're trans and you're in jail for, like, any reason or any amount of time in Missouri, you'll be medically detransitioned, you know? It did touch very lightly on the trans topic.
Ooh.
They disturbed a bunch of archaeological sites and killed some of the oldest known cactuses in the species. Oh, in the attempt to build the wall? Wonderful. I believe Fox News realizes that this is an election loss. They know the under 45 crowd hates them. There seems to be an understanding of that the under 45 crowd hate it. Yeah, and I mean, aren't they also has there also been actual legitimate talk of raising the voting age to 25? Like, they're really trying to do everything they can to try to kneecap the Democratic vote at this point. It's strange that he would bring up the canal and Epstein and not trans and children and education. Yeah, like, I think that they have to obfuscate or switch direction. Like, they're recognizing that they won't win because polls are showing that these candidates who go really hard against trans rights, they're not winning. But, like I said, like, all of the laws are still passing, like, all across, not all of the laws, obviously. Plenty of the laws across the country are passing, and also they're using executive discretion to institute limitations on people's rights without, you know, even consulting the like actual democratic process where you're supposed to vote for somebody who then like makes decisions on your behalf, you know? Ramaswamy suggested it, but backpedaled to just wanting a civics test. Yeah, oh yeah, like the citizenship limitations. Abortion and climate change questions seemed to exist to ask the GOP how they expect to win the under 40 crowd. Yeah, like, how do you plan to win on these things that actual people who have to live in this country for longer than the next 5 years care about? I do take some comfort in how many courts have been shooting these laws down. I mean, it's like, okay, you have two things happening in the courts right now with the anti-trans laws. You have, on the one hand, judges striking them down because of the 14th Amendment equal protection under the law. You know, you cannot allow cisgender kids with precocious puberty to have puberty blockers and not allow trans kids to have puberty blockers for, you know, delaying their onset of puberty for different medical reasons. You know, it's still accomplishing the same medical goal. Like, you cannot make a law that treats people differently under the law like that. Like, that's 14th Amendment. So there's the one type of thing that we keep seeing, and that's like even Trump appointed judges have been going, you know, they say it's super clear, no matter how much I ideologically disagree with this, that we have to allow it under the 14th Amendment. And then you have other judges who are citing the decision Dobbs from last year that removed Roe v. Wade as precedent, because one of the arguments that was made in Dobbs was that, you know, abortion is not deeply rooted in this nation's tradition, and therefore that's why you don't have the right to it, which is bullshit, first of all. Like, colonials would talk about America as an abortion from Britain, and they meant it as a good thing. Anyway, and then, like, now there are some of these trans bills are coming through the courts and being challenged, and some judges, like, it's happened at least twice now, that some judges are like, yeah, based on this concept of, is this deeply rooted in our nation's traditions? Like, do you have the right to such and such? Please, for the love of God, someone bring up the 9th Amendment, like, which says just because some of your rights are not enumerated in the Constitution doesn't mean you don't have them. Like, they specifically put in an amendment that's like, you know, we may not have thought about all of the rights that a person may have, and just because we didn't say that you have them explicitly doesn't mean that you don't have them. So you can't say that something not being explicitly mentioned in the Constitution means that you don't have the right to do it. You know, you only don't have the right to do things if you explicitly are told you don't have the right to do them, you know? God was written to have performed abortions. Yeah. God like gave someone an abortion recipe where you would like mix together a couple, like you would mix together like some ashes and a couple of other things in order to induce an abortion. And there was certain protocol for like times when you're supposed to do that in the Bible. They also brought up how the under 40 crowd is not really into faith. I mean, frankly, Trump kind of diverted the Republican Party away from being synonymous with Christianity because, you know, Trump, there was like an issue when Obama was president, you know, like everybody accused him of being a Muslim all the time. And so it was a big deal. Like he was talking about his pastor and what church he goes to, like on a regular basis, reaffirming this is the church I go to. And then you would see criticism toward his pastor, like, oh, if this is the church that Obama's going to with this guy in the pulpit, oh, think of the crazy things he's going to do. But with Trump, we had none of that. He was just like, nope, I don't really care about the religious aspect. Like, he occasionally paid lip service to it. But I don't even know, like, does Trump regularly say God bless America at the end of speeches and stuff? Like, that's also standard for basically every political person, like, at a high enough degree of relevance that they say, like, you know, God bless this country, like, God bless America. It's like weird for Trump to have been a Republican president, to have been a conservative president, and to not have Christianity be like a big part of that. Trump motorcade is now leaving. Mugshot should be out soon. Ooh, we got the mugshot hopefully soon. I bet it's going to be on Twitter very quickly. Also, I love how everybody is just insisting. Oh, wow. Everybody's just insisting that he, oh my God, I completely lost track of what I was trying to say because I went to Twitter. Oh yeah, I was just going to say, everybody's still calling it Twitter. Like, nobody is calling it X. I got distracted because I saw, like, a bullfight, a video of a bullfight on my front page. It's very distracting. Yeah, if cis people can get their gender-affirming surgeries, then we must have equal access under the law. Exactly. If a cisgender woman can get a boob job, you know, she should be able to get that. No matter what the regret rate is, like as long as it's safe medically, and therefore trans women should also be able to get boob affirming surgeries without having to consult multiple psychiatrists, you know? The website formerly good. I think Fox is aware that if the young crowd does not become conservative, then they'll lose money. That's why Matt Walsh goes on and on about how they need to start outbreeding us. They're like, they literally like are saying that as one of their tactics. We've known for a while. It's clear when you're trying to undercut access to birth control, when you're trying to trap women in marriages where they can't legally get divorced from you unless they can prove that you're beating them to death. Like, the goal of that is to breed more Republicans in an attempt to counteract the natural, like, tendency toward liberalism that we've been experiencing over the last, like, what, 20, 30 years? I just saw the mugshot in Catboy Ranch. Is this real? Is this the actual thing? Live. Is this the actual thing? Jesus is a socialist and woke. Yeah. Christianity in crisis as conservatives finally realize Jesus was woke. Is this are people actually starting to think, you know, oh, Jesus sucks. Like, I will say that my beliefs are coming from Christianity, but, like, Jesus wanted things that I don't want, therefore he was wrong. IDK no source. Okay. I will keep perusing X. Trump mugshot. This is not his mugshot. He was wearing a solid red tie. So here we have President Trump exits Air Force One. Or exits Trump Force One. I can't fucking read. I'm 21 years old. I never learned how to fucking read. Anyway, so this is not the real mugshot. Because he's not wearing the correct tie. The cult of conservatism is fighting against religion and somehow it's winning. Right, like, how are you winning against Christianity now? Hold on. I want to be able to hear this. I'm not going to show you it because it's from a show that I certainly can't show you it. But what is it? What are you saying?
Look at us. Hey, look at us.
Look at us. Huh? Who would have thought? Not me.
Thanks, Paul Rudd. My very modest plane, a 757, truly. Okay, this is cute. I mean, this is cute, right? Like, that's pretty funny. Yeah, look at us. Look at us. That's why so many Catholics here have like 13 siblings and none had any English education. In rural areas, the mentality isn't fully dead. Of course, not everyone needs English education. It's a French place, but it's kind of weird to intentionally prevent your children from learning any English. Yeah, isn't it? Like, oh, we will keep the family pure by we only learn the French. Except that they live in Canada, so it's like, oh la la la. Like, I can't even fucking do a Quebecois. I don't even know how you people talk. I wonder how many AI-generated mugshots will be made. It's like, I guess I feel good that I think I can tell that I'm seeing a lot of AI in my feed, you know? Like random Facebook pages and things like this. And I basically block any page that is showing me something that I suspect was AI-generated. But like, it's like depressing to me that it's everywhere, first of all. And also, like, there's going to be a point where you can't tell as easily. And it sucks. It's like I could tell when things were photoshopped. I can still pretty much tell when things are photoshopped. But like I don't know, the AI generated stuff, it sticks in my craw in a way that the Photoshop doesn't. When little things like real science, real religion, and the truth get in the way, conservatives will turn against them all. Yup. It's all about the party. It's all about the power of the party. Yes, this is a fake mugshot. Real mugshot? I'm just gonna keep refreshing Twitter, I guess, until the mugshot posts. Yeah, this one's photoshopped, for sure. Interesting that they weighed him in at 215 pounds per CNBC. Really? I'll be interested to see, I mean, based on the interview we just watched, he doesn't look like he could even remotely be only 215. Well, that'll be fun to see when it comes out. Should we properly do a segment about Brazil? Should we talk about Brazil? He's definitely fatter than me, and I'm like 245 at least. Yeah, I mean, he's tall too, right? Like, he's a tall... How tall? Donald Trump. Yeah, he's 6'3". Dude, he's super tall. You can't get a cushy government job in Canada unless you know both French and English. Yeah, if he was 6'3", he would be much more fit looking at 215. Even if he wasn't like working out or anything, he would just look way better than he does. Those suits are enormous. And it's like a tent underneath his hips, you know? He's got that pear-shaped thing going on. He had a fresh Depends on. Oh, man. Yeah, we'll see when those come out. Seriously, how long is this debate? How long? It's an hour 42. Ooh. If I started it tonight, we would definitely not finish it tonight. I feel like I got to start this fresh on Sunday. If we're going to do the Republican debate, we're going to have to do it fresh on Sunday. I cannot do it now. It's all the hot air. We could always do memes. True. Idea, change avatars to Trump's mugshot for a week. Yeah, I just want to do it fresh. Like, my voice is already sore, and I've only been on here for 2 hours, so... It's like the allergy season is still happening. You know how it is? Depends suck. Always it's where it's at for incontinence needs. I won't ask how you know that because everybody's kink is their own business. Going to the Salmon Derby Sunday, but have fun? Yeah, no worries. The VODs are always public afterwards, so you're welcome to watch it afterwards. You can't get a government job in Quebec unless you are strictly secular. Religious headwear and other garb is strictly prohibited in public service. There's a giant crucifix in the legislature. Wait, what? Why? Like, how can you... So, wait, do you... If you... I guess if you work in Congress, that's not the same as a public service? So, like, are parliamentarians, are they allowed... Because you have a parliament, right? Parliamentarians are allowed to wear crosses, but if you work at the front desk, then you're not? No, I got health issues. I keep my kinks and medical supplies separate. You know, either way. As someone with incontinence can confirm, depends, sucks ass. I mean, I'm gonna not need to know this probably for another, like... I don't know, I kind of hope I die before I need to have diapers again, but, I mean, it'll be a long time. But it's good to know. I won't go with depends. They have the brand recognition, but it doesn't hold up. But yeah, so do your members of parliament, are they allowed to wear their religious stuff? And it's only if they're publicly, if it's like a public interfacing, like, you have to come here to apply for a driver's license, like, those people are not allowed to wear crosses? Oh, I meant that incontinence sucks ass, but that too. I mean, fair enough. In Quebec specifically, they cannot. Okay. Fair. Fair enough. I wonder if these mugshots are gonna drop before stream is over. I'm kind of curious. Why did people feel the need to make a fake one? You know? Like, this is the point. It's like this, they took this picture right here, and then they made it look like a mugshot. But, like, we're gonna get the real thing soon, you know? Just wait. Okay, interesting. I mean, I think it kind of makes sense if you're a representative of the government, that the government wouldn't want itself affiliated with any religion. But I guess it's unfortunate if you're like Muslim and you're not supposed to have your hair out, then you basically just can't work in any public facing government job because you're like religiously required to wear your head covering all the time. For clicks, trolling. True, you know, you can make money on Twitter now as a poster. In fact, it keeps asking me if I would like to subscribe to Premium to receive a share of ad revenue. Like, y'all keep suppressing my posts, so no, thank you. It only works if they actually enforce it equally, because crosses are never actually stopped. I mean, that makes sense. You'll have, like, the headdress is, like, much harder to ignore, right? It's, like, much easier to be like, ah, yes, that's the thing you're not allowed to wear. But a little cross, someone could be like, oh, I didn't even notice that she was wearing a cross necklace. You know, I just wasn't looking that closely for the last 7 years. Or however, you know, like, someone can just get away with it. Yeah, they'll let Christians do it if the cross is under their shirt, but they enforce it harsher against Muslims and hijabs. Canada, I mean, you're just America's hat, you know? You're just like us. You're only, like, 4 years behind us on all of our extremism. They don't consider crosses to be religious garb. I think Violet was just saying, like, they can... I guess, and it depends probably each province, right? Like, oh, if you hide it under your shirt, then it's fine. Even though it could come out at any point during the day. They don't like the beads, the Catholic beads. Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, of course, because all of the Protestantism, like, it's actually, wasn't Biden like only the second Catholic president or some shit like that? Like discrimination against Catholics is a thing. Nope, you're our pants. I guess we are shitting ourselves, so that's fair. What about my dreidel earrings? I mean, I think you would only get away with it because so many people wouldn't know what it is. Again, there is a giant cross literally in the middle of the legislative chambers. Sure, yeah, of course, Christianity is always going to be... Quebec is very Catholic, so it's reversed. Okay. Okay, but it's only Quebec who does that. Where do you even draw the line for religious garb? Can you just call your hijab a headscarf? Or your kippah a hat? Yeah, if you just wear a head covering every day and it's not specifically the scarf hijab, could you get away with it because it's not religious iconography and you still have your head covered? God is in our national anthem too. Yeah, I mean, so do we, right? The courthouse got a bomb threat. There was a bomb threat at the mugshot courthouse. Does that mean we didn't get the mugshot? No. Come on. Kennedy was the first Catholic president. Also, my parents told me that people really complained about that, and Protestants were afraid then that he would push for Catholic ideals in law. Yeah, like, I remember that Kennedy was Catholic and that people had issues with that. I mean, I don't remember. It's not like I was alive, but I remember learning that. The whole crucifix thing has always creeped me out. Like, let's put up a 20-foot-tall, detailed gore model of a Jew being murdered by the government. Yeah, this is what we want to represent, our government. Oh, the mugshot was at the jail. The courthouse is different. I see. They bomb threaded the wrong place? No. Really? Okay, yeah, Trump surrender live news. Ex-president arrives at Fulton jail for mugshot. People will probably always use religion to hate other religions, no matter which you actually are, especially atheists. Come on! But they seriously, did they bomb threat the wrong building? Like... Oh, it's true. Yeah. This is from the Tennessee Bar Association. Bomb threat closes Georgia courthouses. A Marietta restaurant owner was arrested Tuesday and charged with making a telephone threat that caused evacuation of 2 county courthouses. Oh, this is in 2013. That's completely unrelated to this. All these are older. See if I can find a live news thing. Marjorie Taylor Greene has a mugshot. Really? Ooh, that's exciting. Maybe real mugshot. Maybe. Unclear. Hicks has a joke about if you think Jesus comes back, he ever wants to see a cross again. Yeah, like, I'm just gonna... Well, that one was at, like, I thought that was at a slightly different viewing angle, but... I don't know. Yeah, like, why would you want to come back and see a whole bunch of torture devices that killed you? The Quebec thing is specifically to keep minorities out of government. Someone I know actually got a complaint for her headscarf and just moved rather than have her kids see the anti-Semitism. I mean, I can't disagree with your process there. My political philosophy professor told me to think of religion as, quote, an ordering theory for laws and government. I mean, well, yeah, like, so many, like, you know, I'm kind of glossing over some, like, world history stuff with my siblings and going over, like, yeah, like, here's some early civilizations and, like, early forms of government, and it is really, really common for there to be that overlap, and, like, the the government gives legitimacy to the faith and the faith gives legitimacy to the government. Like, they work together in this way historically. And it's like, I guess, I don't know, it's like, it just seems historically difficult to have like a secular society. I don't really know what the deal is. Probably because the mechanisms of taking power are rooted in religious thinking. Like, and when I say religious, I mean like, I'm talking about like the organized religion where you go and like an authority figure tells you about the religion and like tells you what God thinks and stuff like that, or what the gods think. You know, people's personal religion and like their personal spiritual practices, like, that's not what I'm alluding to. I'm like alluding to the institution of religion, you know? So it seems like, you know, the fact that in those kind of organized religions, you do have a top-down structure. And especially like in Catholicism, for example, you have to go to a guy who then talks to God for you, you know? Like, it's not your place to speak directly to him. So yeah, like, you end up with this overall mentality of obeisance and like, you know, not critically thinking when you're told what to do, all this stuff. And so I think that sort of, yeah, the God proxy. Religions are means of grabbing and maintaining power, alternatives to interpersonal violence, and hopefully thinking in times of crisis, and hopeful thinking in times of crisis. Yeah, I mean, it's comforting, right? And so if your comforting religion is associated with the government, then, you know, you trust your government in a way that you wouldn't otherwise. In the debate, Pence was getting 50-50 boos/cheers whenever he was like, my Lord and Savior. Did he really get boos? In a Fox News setting? Like, God was getting boos? Okay, I got you, Violet. I got you. Meanwhile, my very religious Jews are like, God? Yeah, that dude's a jerk and maybe not even real, and there's no theological issue with it, whatever. He was really creepy about it. Pence is really creepy in general. He always has been really creepy. This is not like a new thing. He's creepy about everything because he is creepy. It was a strange crowd. Yeah. I didn't realize that Trump had so thoroughly managed to alienate the Republican base from Christianity. I guess he just opened the window for a lot of, like, disaffected and angry people who aren't particularly religious to, like, then be able to find a home in the Republican Party. Oh my gosh. Okay, so as of 5 minutes ago on Al Jazeera, we have Trump's mugshot was not immediately released, but U.S. media has reported that it was indeed taken. That makes Trump the first former president in U.S. history to have a mugshot taken, something he has managed to avoid in his 3 previous indictments. Al Jazeera has the live updates. That's the good. Pence was only his vice president to be the good token Jesus boy for the evangelicals. Right. You know, they didn't ever really agree with each other. It was just that Pence was there to rally the people who were like, oh, I don't know, this Trump guy, he doesn't seem godly enough. He's had too many divorces and shit, you know? NBC also has live updates. Yeah, so the most recent update now, Trump tells reporters on tarmac, quote, I did nothing wrong. Trump has briefly spoken to reporters at the tarmac in Atlanta, Georgia. He said, what has taken place here is a travesty of justice. We did nothing wrong. I did nothing wrong. He called the Georgia case and the 3 other criminal cases against him, quote, election interference, and says, quote, we have every single right to challenge an election that we think is dishonest. Sure. Also because Pence was submissive enough to put up with all of Trump's bullshit. I mean, he has like a quiet, sinister personality. Yes, EB says like the stream. Ree! Thank you. Like the stream if you haven't already. We're basically just bullshitting about politics at this point, and we will be watching the debate Sunday instead of today. So hopefully my voice will be a little bit rested up for that. Al Jazeera is good in English, but in other languages more explicitly pro-Qatar. Yeah, Pence was like quiet and creepy and like wasn't gonna overshadow Trump, or like, make a public issue. He was just gonna like quietly, calculated, controlled, like execute all of the fucked up things that he wanted. Because listen, Pence is the dude who, once upon a time, if you didn't know this, he like diverted funding from like AIDS research foundation something or other, and like diverted that public funding into like abstinence only education, I think it was something along those lines, like took money literally away from people with AIDS and like gave it to like some religious thing that was like counteractive to that goal. He was unnervingly animated as well. Pence was during the debate. Oh, I can't wait. I'm going to hold it in my pants until Sunday, though. We're going to wait. You're talking about, so religions also provide a, quote, moral foundation for society, ideally trying to help people to interact less violently and more fairly among themselves. The GOP is doing the exact opposite of what they should be doing with religion as an ordering theory. They're using it to sow disorder and lawlessness and to undermine society. Yeah, that is kind of one of the main differences between the way that governments have a tendency to wield religions in the past versus now, is because, yeah, you usually, it's usually like, oh yeah, be kind to your neighbor, and, oh, we should follow the law, and, the law and the religious teaching both happen to involve, like, killing people less, so that the power to do violence can be concentrated amongst the state. Anyway, like, it's very clearly in the past been used as like to mollify or to pacify the people and to try to make them more pleasant to each other, I suppose you could say. But like the way that their current Republican Party is weaponizing Christianity is very much this, like, this is a sin, you're damaging children, like God said don't cross-dress, and like it's being used as a means of sowing further division, which is pretty atypical. Closing YouTube and restarting the YouTube app because I see 21 likes. We're at 76 according to my count. So that's excellent. Mother gave Pence chocolate milk before the debate. Christianity has legitimately helped my friend and his mental stability. He's more able to regulate on his morals. I feel this propaganda is warping something that could be beautiful. I just kind of wish that we could do moral teaching without like lying to people, That's like my main issue. I've had a friend once upon a time who was like, I don't want you to question my religious beliefs because I felt like I was going to give up on life or whatever. And then I prayed and I found this, and like God gave me the strength. And I'm like, God didn't give you shit. You had that in yourself. Like it undercuts your own ability to say some other thing gave me this. Like you imagined something and then you willed it within yourself to like have the will to live, Yeah, like needing God to be a good person is fucking weird. Like if you really need that in order to be a moral person, like you're scary. Because the thing is, again, that religion is a top-down, like the religious structure is top-down. So if you follow Jesus, literally if you're a Christian and you follow Jesus Christ of Nazareth, of course you're going to come away with some good teachings because the dude was like, be nice to people and he hung out with whores and stuff, But then like anyone who is in charge of telling you what the religion means can then tell you whatever they want to tell you. You have progressive churches that are like, gay people are good, okay? Trans people are good. We're all God's children. Stop being a dick. And then you have other groups that are like, literally kill the gays, like literally we're gonna stone you to death, like that one church that I can never remember the name of, but, it's easy to point at them as like, they have multiple different pastors who say crazy shit. Yeah, like, so if you're a person who's like, yes, well, my religion made me a better person, I'm like, either you are a good person on your own anyway, or you are a highly dangerous influence in society because your religious leader could say, actually, you need to go kill gay people. And because you don't have your own moral code, like your moral code is based off of this construct, like you are a literal danger to the people around you. Once again, highly recommend watching the documentary series called Shiny Happy People. Steadfast Baptist Church. Oh, yeah, yeah. Republican Christians be like, gay is bad because Leviticus, while nomming down on a plate of bacon with pictures of religious idols on the walls. Shellbell, my absolute favorite, my favorite of the Republican Christian view that gay is bad because Leviticus is when you see a dude with a tattoo of Leviticus anti-gay quote, because it also says in Leviticus that you're not allowed to have tattoos, amongst other things, and also no shellfish and no mixed blend fabrics. But yeah, primarily that's the funniest thing that I've ever seen. Like getting Leviticus tattooed on you. Good shit. Yeah, Shiny Happy People is a great way of showcasing how religion is often used and abused by literal child and sex abusers. Yeah. The power to manipulate others. Absolutely. Like, anybody who seeks a position of power, like, I think people who are gonna be good leaders are people who don't want to have power. They want to be able to, like, delegate to other people, you know? Hey, don't come at me for having tattoos and avoiding shrimps. They are weird and should stay in the water. I agree with that one because they're creepy. Listen, you gotta get used to bugs, okay? If you're gonna hang out here, you gotta get used to the bugs. Let's see what the bugs are up to right now. I feel like I gotta do something more to get them, like, active more. Like, apparently they weren't really that into the mushroom that I just gave them earlier. They were not super into it. Sea bugs! I know, shrimps. They are sea bugs. I'm not, like, a huge fan of shrimp. They're fine. It's not, like, what I'm gonna reach for if I'm gonna eat seafood, you know? I love bugs. I'm just not eating goddamn underwater freakish crustaceans. Ancient Israelites be like, the Romans are trying to make us gay and eat bug. One little buddy out. Yeah, I mean, hold on. I messed this up and I took my microphone out of the mix because I didn't want it to be in there. But, like, yeah, the guys, they just... I gave them a giant log to exist underneath and they want to exist underneath there, you know what I mean? Maybe I should figure out a way to get the camera to, like, focus a little better. It's not the camera to use for viewing bugs in a terrarium. It's a fucking webcam, okay? It's also, like, a webcam that I got 8 years ago, so it's not, like, top-of-the-line product anymore. The Romans are pretty gay. I know. The Romans and the Greeks. You know, the Greeks really loved olive oil for a number of reasons. Let's just say. Soy exists so we don't have to eat bugs. I would be willing to accept more bugs in my diet. I actually thought at one point about getting, like, a bag of, like, cricket powder, because that's, like, a pretty easy way to just add, like, a pretty mild flavored protein into something else. Like, if I were making something that didn't have enough protein in it, I could just, like, it's almost like a thickener, you know? You could just throw it in there. Deep fried bugs are unironically tasty. Deep fried anything is pretty tasty, right? The soy left versus the bug left. Yeah, am I... I guess I have to be a bug left because soy can give me real weird poops. I'm not gonna avoid it. I literally bought some Impossible Burger things recently. I didn't get burger buns, but I'm, like, excited. They smell and look like cat food until you cook them, and then it's basically like, oh, that's kind of like beef, you know? I love peanut powder for that purpose. Peanut powder, I feel like it would taste a lot like peanut. I guess I don't know what cricket would taste like, so I don't know if cricket powder would actually fuck up the food that I'm trying to eat. Are bugs considered meat? That's a good question. For the purposes of, like, you know, Good Friday and shit, like, when you're not supposed to eat the meat on the Fridays, Catholics, they eat fish, right? Because fish doesn't count as meat. So I imagine that bugs wouldn't count. Cricket tastes like sunflower seeds. Ooh, girl, that sounds kind of pleasant, actually. I have a high suspicion I'm allergic to bugs. Yeah, well, be careful. I know vegans who eat some bugs, so IDK depends on who you ask. There are some vegans who will not eat honey. You know what I mean? Like, I don't really agree with that, personally. I don't think that it's at all exploitative to eat honey. So, yeah, it super depends on who you ask. Impossible Burgers are the best thing ever. They're pretty yummy. I've never eaten meat or fish, but I would eat bugs before soy, I think. Really? You don't, like, get like, a tofu every once in a while? I know a non-honey vegan. She calls it bee vomit. Sure. I mean, sure. I mean, I can't argue with that at all. Yeah, you did send me a video about the vegan honey thing. Yeah, I don't remember if I watched it. It would have been a few months ago anyway. But, like, it's like, I guess, like, I can hear you and be like, I see that your view has merits and also not agree. I mean, like, I also agree that eating meat in general is, like, A, bad for you health-wise, and B, bad for the environment the way that we're doing it now. And yet, I still eat meat, you know? I do enjoy having occasional meatless days where I'm like, I'm gonna deliberately choose to have a different option. You know, I'm gonna make a dinner with tofu instead of with ground beef. You know, like, I'll make tacos with tofu instead of beef sometimes. Because it's like, you're mostly tasting the cumin anyway. If you can harvest the bug without killing it, you can call it vegetarian. I only learned recently that you eat oysters, like, alive. Did not know that. Much more horrendous concept. I was thinking, like, maybe I would eat oysters, and now I'm like, I don't know. Milk and honey are the only two things you can eat without killing something? Well, so I guess you're saying milk and, like, milk products are sort of implied by that. I mean, milk... Technically, you pasteurize milk in order to make it safe to drink, right? So you are killing, like, microorganisms. But honey, I don't think that there's really a cooking process. Or I guess that's the difference between raw honey and other types of honey, wouldn't it be? Eggs, though, too, in theory? Yeah, I guess it's like the egg is not alive if it hasn't been fertilized yet. So unfertilized eggs wouldn't be killing. Sure. Oh my god, I wonder if starfish tastes okay. You can eat up to half of it without killing it? Oh, that's horrifying. If we were to farm starfish that way, that would be a million times worse than just killing and eating something. Like the beef, you know? Like, the beef, they just, like, basically shoot them. They don't actually shoot them. They just send a high-speed piece of metal through their brains, right? And then they just die immediately. So that's, like, infinitely more humane than cutting parts off of a starfish. Like, that's awful. Technically, you can harvest blood without killing. Yeah, we don't really... I mean, yeah, the French... Okay, the French eat blood, all right? It's like a thing to eat blood in French cuisine. It's not really like a Western American sensibilities thing, you know? Like, that's a Europe thing. Do starfish feel pain the same way, though? I mean, if they have a complex nervous system... We used to think that fish didn't have complex nervous systems, but they do. Like, plants don't have complex nervous systems, so they can't experience pain, although they can react to stress in their environment. I just watched a video about this. So it's like, how complex is the nervous system of these bugs, or of starfish, etc.? The theoretical starfish harvesting sounds as bad as what we do to horseshoe crabs. Oh, enlighten me. What do we do to horseshoe crabs? If you think that's horrifying, you should see how octopi breed. I mean, they eat the... One of them eats the other one, don't they? That's common, right? Like, fairly common in the animal kingdom that, like, after mating, the female will eat the male, you know? Octopus only live for, like, 5 years. Or do they just die after they breed? Do they just give up on life afterwards? Because that's fairly common. Does that even matter? Is pain the only factor? I think pain is like a primary consideration for vegans and vegetarians. Like, it's like the exploitation in general, and then like the pain itself, you know. Like, I tried to explain this to someone like a long time ago, that like it makes sense if you morally are considering the feelings of cows as equivalent to the feelings of humans, which a lot of vegans are like, we should not treat these animals like they don't have feelings. Like, then yes, being like repeatedly impregnated for the purpose of remaining able to be milked in like an environment where you can't go outside and shit like that. Like, yeah, it's like rape, right? You know, it would be like horrendous to you to think about it if you mentally held those as equivalently significant, you know? Actually, plants have something adjacent to pain and can scream too. Yeah, so this is the thing. This is the video I just watched. Biologically speaking, from a biologist, plants can react to stimuli in their environment, but they do not have pain. In fact, some animals don't have pain. Like, there's a difference between stimulus and like being able to feel something versus like having pain signals through your body, you know? Like, you can hold your hand near something warm and you can feel the sensation of warm, right? You can put your hand in a fire, and for a moment you will experience you'll experience the sensation of warm, and then a totally different sensation of pain happens. And like, some animals like don't have that. And some people don't have that. There was a guy on Mindfield with Vsauce that like, a guy who was like, my main concern is that there could be something wrong with me internally and I would just not know because I don't feel pain, right? I think of it as pain, which is a response to harmful stimuli, versus suffering, the higher order neurological response. But so here's the other main reason why we know that plants don't feel pain, is that they don't act to prevent the stimulus. They might like sort of react in a sense of like, you know, if they'll grow towards sunlight and away from dark places or something like, but animals and beings who experience pain, we take action to fix it, to like, we take action to make it stop, like pulling your hand away from the fire, you know? But plants don't do that. Even plants that are pretty mobile, and like most plants are pretty mobile, frankly, but like even plants where you see, oh, these beans, you know, they spin around to find something to grow up toward. You know, plants don't respond to things that could be painful in the same way. The sensitive plant moves. Well, yeah, but they close at night. Like, the sensitive plant, not only if you touch it, it's not responding to pain, it's responding to basically any kind of touch, but also lots of sensitive plants like close overnight. So it's not even something that they're just doing in response to interactive stimulus, you know? But what about humans who can't react? Well, sure, I'm not going to say that, like, one specific human who is in a coma is incapable of feeling pain because they didn't react or whatever, you know? Like, we're talking about species and what they're capable of. Because I know that there is obviously... people will do fucked up shit to disabled people and stuff, you know? We don't need to go there. It still feels the need to defend itself. I mean, it's like, according to biologists, it does not represent a significant enough response to indicate that, like, there are pain signals. Like, the kind of nerves that send pain signals are also, like, more highly developed than the kind of signals that plants have, you know? But I do see, you know, like, I'm on, like, the isopod groups and things like this, and sometimes people ask, like, how, like, do they feel pain? And it's like, well, some guy was like, I've seen how they react when one of their antennae gets pulled off by one of the other isopods, and they seem to freak the fuck out about it. So, like, they have, like, a clear reaction in a way that is just, we just don't see it in plants, you know? If they have anything like our consciousness, it would still be indescribable to us. It'd be so different to be an octopus, never mind a plant. Yeah, well, I mean, like, you can approximate for a lot of animals, like a similar experience. Like dogs have some kind of emotion that is like happiness. Maybe they would not call it the same thing or even understand it the same way. Like we have a million different words for different kinds of happiness, but like it's you can kind of map our experiences to each other in a way that gets harder and harder the more biologically different you are, you know? It's kind of like why so many horror movies are about like other different kinds of life, like sci-fi horror as a concept, you know, where you're looking at you know, like we've encountered aliens and they're totally different and we can't communicate and they're angry, you know, and like the fact of not understanding the fear involved in that is like a pretty motivating sensation that we have, you know? Pain in the scientific sense is a super specific thing. Plants most likely can't feel that. They feel something and communicate about it, but it's not pain as most animals would feel it. Yeah, yeah. I think dog consciousness would be more familiar to us than octopus consciousness would be for a dog. Fair enough. No, fair enough. I mean, I can't imagine what it would be like to have a decentralized nervous system. Like, the nervous system of the fucking octopus is not in its head, like, for the most part. Fungi-like sentient life would be a freaky option. Could be a hive mind, but splits easily. Man, the porn that would exist of the fungi-like sentient life, though, wowie. Wow, it would be... it would be dubious. I just think octopus are far superior to us, honestly. They're terrifying. If they lived longer than 5 years, I feel like we would be dead. Like, they would take us over, you know? And, like, even, you know, like whales and, like, you know, dolphin-like animals, they probably have fairly interesting internal lives that, like, frankly, it's almost the opposite way as, like, you know, dogs are simpler compared to humans. Like, I don't know that we could imagine the kind of complex lives that, like, orcas live. Having just watched a video about orcas and the big fucking brains that they have. They have so many wrinkles, you guys. They have, like, the least smooth brains of any mammals, basically. Like, it's wild. It's like that dude from Invincible. It's like he's overloading the machine because he's got too many neurons. I sometimes wonder if alien life would be more likely to be like an octopus than like us. Well, I mean, it sort of depends, of course, on like what sort of planet it evolves on, you know? If it evolves underwater, then yeah, like being an octopus is definitely going to be advantageous, but their bodies are not super suited to being out of water, which is probably why they haven't taken over, frankly. Consciousness is quantum mechanical, scientists believe, and is based somewhat in our microtubules in our neurons. Depending on the structure of the animal or plant, they could have some element of consciousness. Right, yeah, I watched a Skeptic's Guide to the Universe podcast, like years and years and years ago, and they had a guy on talking about consciousness and like the nature of it and everything. And like consciousness is just an extant function of your brain. It's not like purposeful. I don't know that it really serves much of a purpose. It's just like if the brain gets complicated enough in order to perform a bunch of complex tasks, like I've seen it argued, and I wouldn't disagree with the argument, that like human brains developed to be the way that they are because we were in competition with one another. Like we needed to outsmart one another. And so that was like the evolutionary push toward developing bigger brains, was like we were competing against other types of human animals, and like we ended up on top because we outsmarted them, frankly. And you don't see that kind of competition in other species in that way that sort of drives that. Oh, I didn't mean other tribes. I meant like Neanderthals and what's the fuck? There's another one that we killed dead. We killed them dead. Like Neanderthals we bred in, which is why a lot of people have Neanderthal DNA, but like there was another species of humans that we killed them all. If you've ever asked yourself why we have the uncanny valley sensation, it's probably because of that. Like, there used to be things that were almost human, but not quite. Consciousness does affect the brain, though. Well, sure, yeah, but it's like, it's just an extant function. We did interbreed with the Denisovans. There's like a homo, it's like homo something. I just can't remember what the fuck it is. There were a lot of apes that were close to human, but not. Yeah. Fungi forming networks and some mushrooms seem to have a form of communication at some level, like a neural network, a level of consciousness in the primitive sense. Was it Homo erectus? Or is that just what we were before? Anyway, the Hobbit humans. So, right, like the trees communicate through, like, fungal networks, right? What's up, Asuka? Homo erectic. There are, like, hundreds of extinct human species. We fucked them all up, dude. Like, we either fucked them or we fucked them up. There was no middle ground. We played the Game of Thrones and we won. Uncanny Valley is thought to be a reaction to corpses, skeletons, and disease. I mean, I'm personally just, I think that it's more fun to think of it in terms of there used to be other non-human species. Homo erectus is not our ancestor. They came earlier from a common ancestor. Okay, so yeah, we murked all of them. We were like, we just stabbed all of them right in their faces. Bonobos and chimps were lucky to split earlier. Yeah, we didn't feel the need to take them all out. Cephalopod established hierarchies and have a common ancestor to humans. A bad reason, I believe, to continue hierarchies. Egalitarian, advancing human civilizations should not be disadvantaging 80% of peeps. Yeah, I mean, it's all resource distribution, really, at the end of the day. The nature of consciousness depends on how much you value external stimuli for mental development. There's a lot of internal factors for development, but we also know from wolf children that socialization and environment is a huge part of how and if it develops. Well, right, because, like, if you are raised with language, like, you know, language has changed our brains in ways that we could probably not ever pinpoint exactly. Even people who don't think in words, and I am one of those people who thinks in words a lot of the time. Not every single thought that I have happens in words, but, like, a lot of them do. It's like words and images, but a lot of words. You know, but, like, simply having language sort of changes the way that you conceptualize things. And thank the camera's coming back. And we know that the way in which you speak and, like, the language that you use can influence the way that you think. Like, there's, like, tribes who, instead of having, like, left and right and up and down, they'll say, like, north, south, east, west. So, like, you have a mosquito on your west arm, and then they are more suited for, like, directional navigation. Like, they just know their directions better because of the way that they speak in general. So Uncanny Valley could just be a side effect of our pattern recognition. Sure, but it's like, what is the pattern that you're looking for, and why does it upset you so much to see something that, like, looks vaguely human but isn't? Like the AI, you know, with the teeth. Too many teeth. We've come back around to, like, the Fae. You gotta count the teeth and count the fingers. Oh, that's interesting. I hadn't really thought of that. Is it becoming more accepted in anthropology that our interactions with other human species was more lovemaking than outright war? I mean, I wouldn't expect it to have been outright war anyway. I would have just expected it to be more like, killing on the small scale. Because it just happened that way. Not everything is from selective pressure. Disagree. Hard disagree. Like, everything that we are is the result of some kind of selective pressure. But I'm, like, I don't know. I guess I'm usually the kind of person who's gonna say it's like a mixture of nature and nurture, but I'm also the kind of person who's gonna say they influence each other. Uncanny Valley sensation triggers a weird joy in me. Like, mannequins don't creep me out. I genuinely like that they are kind of human, but not really. They're just little guys. They're just guys. I would die in the wild. Oh, no. Oh, mugshot is out. Yes, we made it. We made it long enough. Is this actually it? Is this actually it? This is the picture that I saw like 10 minutes ago. And now it's on NBC. Like, did they... This is the one. I knew that his head was tilted at a different angle. So there he is. Looking very happy to be there. My brain can't handle mannequins in my periphery. I always think there's just a person standing there. I goof myself all the time with this. I'll have, like, the fucking vacuum cleaner is sitting out, and I'll like... I haven't actually done this, but as an example, I'll, like, just put, like, a towel on top of it and then walk away and then come back and be like, goof, like, out of the corner of my eyes. Like, it's scary. Mannequins are friends. Oh, you guys want me to check Slay? If I check the most recent thing in Slay the Dragon, then it's gonna show everything in that channel as red, and then I'm not gonna be able to see all of the things in there. You can't post things in Slay the Dragon if you want me to read them during stream. I depend on having, like, a all new messages from this point indication in there in order to know, like, what all I've already looked at when we do that segment on stream. A lot of shit just happens and isn't selected for or against, and it just stays in the population. I guess fair enough. Like, I don't know. I think a lot of the time we see things... Just because they become useless, evolutionarily speaking, doesn't mean that there wasn't a selective pressure for it at one point, you know? There is no reason to have Uncanny Valley anymore, but there was at one point, like, if there was predation from other humanoid species, then yes, it would make sense for us to develop that. And, like, the fact that the Uncanny Valley feeling feels so, like, unnerving on, like, a deep instinctual level, it makes me think that it is, like, been there for a long time, you know? Okay, you put it in stream chat. That is a much better place for me to see things if you want me to see them. Okay, this is a pretty good meme. I will say, this is a pretty solid meme. Lock who up? There she is. Man, what's Hillary up to lately? Does she even look like this anymore, or does she look way older because she hasn't been in the news very much? Boy howdy. Disease and death response. Would that... I don't know. If I don't find it unnerving, does that make me more or less evolved? More. You're more evolved. Yeah, he looks super pissed in this picture. Delicious. My theory is that consciousness is a social construct we create, like our gender and other aspects of our identity, as a tool for survival in social environments. Like, either way, I believe that it's not some soul that lives in a body, but instead an invention we create for ourselves as a tool. I mean, frankly, yeah, like it's like a way to explain what's happening in your mind. Like, consciousness is the explanation that we have for the level of self-awareness that we're at, you know? Yeah, I would be interested to see if we can see some kind of consciousness extant as a function of computing. I don't really know what that would look like, but just like, you know, alien life, we have no idea what that would look like. Yeah, later, Shellbell. Yeah, I'm probably going to wrap up here in a few. This has been a really interesting conversation with lots of fun memes. And I'm going to look forward to doing the debate on Sunday because it's going to be like 2 hours long. So we're going to take our time and get through that, you know? But yeah, Al Jazeera is also now reporting mugshot. Expert says RICO charge may not be biggest threat to Trump. Trump's been charged with racketeering. So that's what this is about. It's like racketeering under Georgia's laws. There are other charges against Trump that could pose a bigger threat. Georgia has a number of fairly narrow statutes having to do, for example, with making false statements to government officials to affect government action, which are simpler to prosecute. I think if I'm Mr. Trump's lawyer, I'd be concerned not so much about the RICO charges, but the variety of other Georgia-specific statutes that may make this a simpler case to prove against Mr. Trump. So yeah, we'll see what happens with that. May or may not result in any kind of meaningful action. Yeah, man, it's going to be interesting to see how this goes. Turned down, I wonder if we will see... Has a winning president ever declined to go to the debates? Because he made it sound like he's not going to do any debates for the for the Republican primary. Like, is he just not going to debate until or unless he gets the nomination? It's going to be fascinating to see if that affects him as far as his actual polling, you know? What's up, Cosmic Witch? I guess fair enough that, like a funny theory I hear about human intellect has more to do with predation from leopards. Smart, stealthy young leopards kill humans and chimps that live too close. Fair enough. Plot twist, Trump refusing to debate kills debate bro culture. So President Sunday, I don't know if any of you know who he is, but President Sunday was talking on Twitter today about potentially starting up like panel shows again. And I'm like, bet, let me get involved with that. My camera is just shitting itself all night tonight. I'm like, bet, let me get into that. I think it would be fun to get on panel shows and then have the cursed experience like Doe did of saying like discussion ending things that no one will acknowledge. That's exactly what it's like to be on panels. Oh god. Ugh. Reminder everybody to stretch and drink plenty of water because the world is crazy and you gotta be prepared. Trump won the debate last night without even being there because the other Republicans are so pathetic. I don't know of the other ones. I was so sure that it was going to be DeSantis if it's not Trump. And DeSantis just, you know, he's running like human.exe and it's like a really buggy program for him for some reason. I've only seen some clips and like he has got this one scene where he like says something and then he tries to put on this like weird delayed smile. And it's just really creepy. He's got no riz. No riz on that guy. So if it's not Trump, I don't fucking know who it's going to be at this point, which is in and of itself kind of spooky. But anyway, yeah, we're not going to totally kill debate bro culture because Luxander's going to start joining some fucking panel shows and arguing with people for fun. Oh, God. So, okay, we are hitting that 3-hour mark. My voice is tired. I am so ready to do the Republican primary debate on Sunday. But in order to do that, I am probably going to need to, like, shut up for 10 minutes maybe and, like, reserve some of my voice for that. America deserves a hot president. I know. It's only if you're into gilfs, you got the pick of the litter or whatever, but not so much if you aren't an octogenarian. It's not really working for me. Okay, my loves. I will plan to see you. Oh my god, is it just still off? Has it just been off? And it said that it came back on, and then it lied to me. It made the noise like it came back on, and then it just didn't. Okay, now we're back? Nope. Maybe? Yes? Okay, well anyway. This is why I need a third monitor, you guys. Like, I'm seriously at a point where I need 3 monitors in order to be able to both monitor everything that's happening on stream and have my screen showing me what we're looking at. Like, man, it's getting ridiculous. I need a bigger desk, though. It's tough. Anyway. Yeah, hopefully if enough people hate DeSantis, they'll get him out of office. Hopefully, yeah, he doesn't win the next time he runs. Or, I don't know, maybe if he puts enough attention and effort into running for president, maybe he'll just, like, not get reelected as governor. I don't know. We can fucking hope, though. We can hope a lot of things about Ron DeSantis. But I cannot speak. Anyway, all right. I will plan to see you guys on Sunday. And take care of yourselves, and I hope you have a good weekend for the most part. And we'll see you then. Okay.